Here to inspire on a week of college football kicking off. They're watching a little Trevor Lawrence last night in the NFL. Jameis Winston looked like a starting quarterback. How about that? See Patrick Perrette nodding his head.
Taysom Hill did not.
Enthusiastic. Oh, you're ready to go? You got your Saints hat on. You're all pumped. He's going to be even better than Drew Brees. Is that what you're thinking?
Jameis Winston?
Yeah.
No. But I think he'll be serviceable. I think he'll be serviceable. Taysom Hill did not look good yesterday. Taysom Hill looked very bad yesterday. And it was in the wake of Taysom Hill saying, hey, if I'm not going to be the starting quarterback, I better just move on. I don't know what he was thinking saying that, because then he was bad. And he would be best off, and the Saints would be best off, just letting him beat Taysom Hill. Just do your Taysom Hill thing. Be a gadget guy. But he doesn't want to do that anymore. So if they actually trade him, that would be wild. But, yeah, Jameis looked really good.
Yeah, well, what's his deal there? Is that an ego thing? Is that what that is? Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Nobody else. He would not be in the NFL if it wasn't for Sean Payton. No other team would have given him a chance. So I don't know why he's not more grateful. I always thought he was. I thought he was pretty content. I mean, he's making a lot of money.
To me, that's got to be an ego thing, or maybe I don't know. You're with Drew Brees and you see greatness, and then do you somehow get convinced that you can do that since you see it every day? Clearly, no one's going to be Drew Brees after that. Jameis Winston looked really good last night. A couple of long touchdown passes to Marquez Callaway, who made tremendous catches, don't get me wrong. But the numbers were absolutely fantastic. I got them right here in front of me. I think it's just one incompletion. 9 out of 10 for 123 yards with a couple of touchdowns for Jameis Winston. The more interesting part of that game for me was watching Trevor Lawrence. And, man, I don't know how, if you're a Jaguars fan, if you are a Clemson fan, if you just want to see Trevor Lawrence succeed, I don't know how you almost didn't lose your mind late in the first half there. He just tucks and runs and almost puts his head down between like 4 defenders who are clearly just looking to make a preseason highlight. Fortunately, no problems at all. Popped right back up. Maybe that's the confidence of youth as well, but that one was, I was watching. I was like, what is he doing? What is there to gain by tucking and running for 9 yards at the end of the second quarter in a meaningless exhibition game? It was just all to lose. And last night's final score was 23-21. The Saints, all 18 of the Jaguars' points coming in the fourth quarter. So it wasn't that close unless you're really into the fourth quarter of exhibition NFL games last night. Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer. Patrick, what do you think now that we have a couple of exhibition games at least to have watched some results and seen some of what they might do in the NFL?
For Trevor Lawrence, it's just, hey, this NFL thing is not as easy as being at Clemson. Like, their offensive line, the Saints' defensive line was feasting on the Jaguars. So, I mean, he's going to have to just learn that. Like, there were really no defensive lines that just ate the Clemson offensive line up. Even though, weirdly, that's kind of the one area that Clemson has had not much success under Dabo Swinney putting guys in the NFL, but they're still good for college, and nobody's just dominating them except for maybe that's kind of what happened in some of the national championships and playoff games that they've lost. But Urban Meyer has not been a good start. I mean, we just go – I don't know what, great decisions he's made so far. He basically had to hire and then fire a coach within a 2-day span. He brought in Tim Tebow, got all the headlines. Tim Tebow couldn't even make it to final cuts. And yesterday, I didn't see much of it, but I saw his play calling was getting criticized. Like, this is just not going to work. But we'll see. I mean, it's early. Preseason generally means nothing, but I don't think the reviews of Urban Meyer have been great so far. And I've been standing by this thing's not going to work.
Well, I would be leery if there were preseason reviews as well. You mentioned that stat yesterday. How many games in a row have the Ravens won in preseason? 19 preseason games in a row. It's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Trevor Lawrence, numbers-wise yesterday, 14 out of 23, 113 yards. Took him a while to get their first down. He started the first half yesterday. Gardner Minshew played most of the second half, and it was C.J. Beathard who came on in the fourth quarter, I guess, and got them all their points, or most of their points. But it was interesting to watch and to see, because overly sensitive Clemson fans listening this morning. Don't get us wrong. Trevor Lawrence dominated from the jump in college more than anybody I've ever seen. More than anybody I've ever seen. True freshman, goes to win a national championship. Just looked like he was at a different level. And so now it's strange for me to see him play on a field where he is not completely dominating. I've just never seen that before. Saw it last night for sure. And yeah, you're right about play calling and Urban in the NFL. Going to be wildly interesting. I think 20 carries last night for 40 yards is what the Jaguars were. 20 for 45. So when you get that that little production from your run game, it's going to be really difficult.
That's just what happens when you're the number one overall pick. Rarely do you come into a good situation. I'd say rarely has a number one pick ever come into a good offensive line. Like Joe Burrow last year, obviously tore his ACL because of his offensive line being horrendous. And that was kind of the running theme of the whole Bengals season, was how bad their offensive line was, and Joe Burrow just getting destroyed every game. So, yeah, I mean, he's not as lucky as Trey Lance, who the 49ers were 2 years removed from the Super Bowl, and they traded up to get him, so he goes into a good situation. And Justin Fields is playing for a team that was in the playoffs just, 2 years ago? Maybe 3 years ago? I can't remember.
Not long.
Sure. And they're a good team. I mean, they have a good roster.
And we talked about it multiple times here recently since Peyton Manning's been inducted in the Hall of Fame, how he went 3-13 with the Indianapolis Colts coming out of college, and said he needed that, and then turned it right around 13-3 the next season. Chris on the Facebook live stream this morning, it's the Jags, LOL. No one cares. Typically, I'd be with the exception of Perry Orth, of course, being from around there. But this year, it's different. I will be watching more Jacksonville Jaguar football than I've ever watched before, probably all added up, all combined, just because of, number one, their quarterback, and number two, their coach. It's almost 1A and 1B, because this is the most interesting thing, in my opinion, since Steve Spurrier's been in the league. It's the most interesting college head coach trying to coach in the NFL, just because of everything that has been Urban Meyer in so many ways. At Florida, national championships, Tim Tebow, Aaron Hernandez, the burnout, then Ohio State, and that situation, and now the NFL. To me, it's fascinating. I'm with you in the past, Chris. Hardly cared about the Jacksonville Jaguars, a bit of a punchline. A nice little story with Blake Bortles, and then Jalen Ramsey seemed to almost like implode the team from the inside out. I don't know what happened. It seemed like management and ownership, and it just went.
I would say Tom Coughlin.
Okay, it went south real quick, and another kind of an interesting tale or recipe for how to completely dismantle a good NFL roster was a couple of years ago in Jacksonville. And now you got a chance with a bunch of draft picks coming in, a bunch of flexibility coming in to build it right back. And you've had a guy who all he's done is win, but he's also done it very controversially everywhere he's been. And he's been a college guy, and he's still a pretty much a college guy. I was reading an article on The Athletic about how he's just doing things differently in the NFL, doing things much more college-like. And so did Pete Carroll, and it worked for him. But so did a bunch of other guys, and it didn't work for him. Chip Kelly, I think, is the one that they mentioned. Steve Spurrier will be the one that I always mention here with the appropriate reference to the Gamecocks.
But the only one of those guys that worked was Pete Carroll, and that's because his players love him. Chip Kelly's players hated him, despised him. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, that's what, like, we haven't heard a ton coming out of Jacksonville, but we haven't heard players saying, oh, yeah, Urban Meyer's just doing things way different than they've always been done in the NFL, and I love it. We've not heard anyone praising him or his style, and I don't think we're going to. So I don't think it's going to work. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a good pro. I'm not saying that he's going to be a bust, but the Urban Meyer experiment's not going to work.
How are those two things not tied together? How is that possible, I guess? How does that work out in reality, Patrick? Because I'm with you. I have way more confidence that Trevor Lawrence is going to have more success in the NFL than Urban Meyer. But when he is your head coach and you are the quarterback, it usually goes hand in hand, man.
Kind of. I mean, I think a lot of good quarterbacks have had multiple coaches probably. They're not all Tom Brady's with playing full careers with Bill Belichick, basically. I mean, I think Kyler Murray already is a good pro and is going to be really good, but Cliff Kingsbury is going to get fired after this year. I mean, Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor's going to get fired probably after this year, and Joe Burrow is going to be a good pro. I think Trevor Lawrence will probably struggle this year. Next year, come in, be a lot better, but the Jags might not necessarily be good, and then it'll be Urban Meyer in the hot seat in year 3, and then we'll see what happens. Like that's the thing. Trevor Lawrence has legitimately 18 years of professional football ahead of him if he ends up being a good pro. Like, guys are playing into their mid-40s at this point, so he has all the time in the world. Like Ryan Tannehill didn't become good until he was in his 30s. So I think Trevor Lawrence has everything to be a good pro. I can't see people buying into Urban Meyer, and I think he's already losing credibility.
Well, he's losing his other highly drafted Clemson player for an indefinite period of time. And interesting, ironic, Travis Etienne just caught one pass for 3 yards and one carry last night for 1 yard and then got hurt. And they're calling it, you see what they're calling it, Patrick? A midfoot sprain. On his left foot, wearing a boot after the game. And how about this? The injury analyst from ESPN on the article I'm reading, the line is very interesting. Midfoot sprains can vary widely in terms of recovery time, and a big factor in the course of treatment will be whether it is deemed stable or unstable. So a direct correlation to the injury that Luke Doty, the Gamecock starting quarterback, is dealing with, that Jake Bentley, the former Gamecock starting quarterback, dealt with, and unfortunately for him, it meant out for the season with the Liz Frank fracture. And I think that was kind of the worst case scenario that was originally feared for Luke Doty, but tests revealed it was just a sprain. And now a possibility for getting back for the season opener for Gamecock football. And yesterday's conversation was all about, okay, but if he doesn't, could we possibly see a guy who was a graduate assistant just a couple of weeks ago start game number 1 for Carolina football? Will it be a guy who played his last football game at FCS St. Francis in 2019, and Jason Brown will be the starting quarterback for Carolina? Because it seems like those two guys, at least the word is, have distanced themselves a little bit from the true freshman and Colton Gauthier, a 3-star recruit out of the state of Georgia. Who knows where today's conversation will take us? We do have Richard contributing on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line at 803-404-6100. Great night of football last night, Richard says. Famous Jameis and Marquez Callaway looked great for the Saints. My son Joshua Gary caught his first TD of the season for Blythewood in a victory last night. It was Blythewood over, I saw that highlight real quick, too. I'll double check that in high school football, but that schedule is all over the place these days due to COVID protocols and restrictions and cancellations and makeup games and the whole thing. So a big season of flux, at least a season to start in flux for high school football in our area and all around, I'm sure. 803-404-6100. Again, the number, if you'd like to weigh in. We're just getting going on a Tuesday morning. Bill Gunter going to be filling in for Heath Klein later on this afternoon. Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen alongside me, Tim Hill, at Tim Hill 1075, where you can find me on Twitter. Patrick is @_Patrick Perrette. Jen is @Jen Jensen Morse. It's the early game here on 1075 The Game.
This is Gamecock basketball head coach Frank Martin.
Who was Blythewood playing last night? Fairfield Central. The old Griffin. Oh man, we have a texter who sent 17 texts yesterday. He's already back at it today.
That's what he ended at yesterday, 17.
Yeah, I picked him up. Started at 6A, ended at 6:41 p.
Heath Klein texted him back.
And it started, started this morning at 6:12 a.m. And all of the texts are basically the same, that Gamecock football will stink this year. All right, RL's up early at the bus stop. Who can we say hi to, RL? Who's going to go win the day, school today? So Benedict's coach was pumped up. Their first game against Allen, season opener. Malachi, Nate, go dominate. Football season is here. No more messing around.
Did you see the milk crate deal before South Carolina did it?
No, I didn't know South Carolina did it.
It was going crazy. Wait, what?
Yeah, I didn't know South Carolina did it.
You didn't see that Juju McDowell's Instagram story was them doing it in the grass at 650 Lincoln?
No.
I thought that's what we were going to lead off with. You have to look at that.
No, I don't even have Instagram.
It's not on Instagram. It's on Twitter. It went crazy on Twitter yesterday.
Yep.
Saw some dude who ate it. That wasn't him, was it?
No, but I retweeted a video of it. I mean, Juju McDowell put a very long Instagram story of them setting it up and people doing it. And Marshawn Lloyd's up there. He said, "Marshawn Lloyd, you going to do this?" And Marshawn Lloyd's like, "Nah, I'm not doing it."
Hear it. My career is more important than this stupidity.
You're going to have to tell an old man all about this, Patrick. I see the video popped up right now.
Glad I brought this up. I was just thought this was one of the let's not discuss it off the air because it's going to be an on the air discussion situations. Kids not wearing shoes.
Looks like Muse. No? Yeah, I can't tell who that is.
Yeah, I don't know who the person that wiped out is.
I know there were some people who commented and said, no, it's nobody from the football team. And
Oh,
painful.
Yeah, I mean, that's not going to go well today. All right. Urban Meyer's still trending.
Football season.
Dan Orlovsky says they already need to find a new OC.
Who is their offensive coordinator? Do you know?
It's Daryl Bevel is their passing game analyst. I think he was calling the plays. I don't know if he's. I think it's Daryl Bevel is who's being.
And back in.
Brian. Yeah, passing. Okay, Brian Schottenheimer is the passing game coordinator, but Daryl Bevel is the offensive coordinator.
That's right.
Just a few days away. Just a couple of spots left. 14th anniversary golf tournament out at Charwood Golf Club in West Columbia this Friday, 10 a.m. tee time. Give those guys a call. Write this number down, 755-2000. If you really want to play in the 14th anniversary 1075 The Game Golf Tournament presented by Integrated Media, now is the time to call them today before your chance runs out. Those spots are running out real quick. Panera Breakfast, Little Pigs Lunch, raise some money for Camp Cole, a trip to Kiowa for the winning team, and a raffle off a pair of tickets to the Gamecock season opener. And you got a chance to win $10,000 if you hit a hole in one. That's sponsored by Buford Lending. Going to have trophies out there from the Trophy and Award Center over in Lexington as well. Again, 803-755-2000 if you would like to register as an individual or a four-person captain's choice team. Going to be a lot of fun out at Charwood at our 14th anniversary golf tournament this Friday, presented by Integrated Media. Patrick, there are just some times in life these days where at 43 years old, I feel extra old. Today was one of them where just during the video live stream break, you started talking about the Milk Crate Challenge.
Yep.
And you might as well have been speaking a different language to me. I saw it briefly on social media, like a video, I guess, of people being idiots. But, I mean, that's every day, right? Like, there's people falling and hurting themselves. And what I didn't pay. I didn't even not even a second glance. Nothing. Just remember seeing it, scrolling on. All right. Move on. Let's see if we can find some information pertinent to today. And then you tell me that there is actual information pertinent today as it pertains to the Milk Crate Challenge that I saw a little bit on social media because some Gamecock football players are involved. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, this thing was huge over the weekend. Just dozens upon dozens of videos of people essentially just stacking milk crates up in a pyramid shape, and then you walk up, and I think the tallest one is usually.
Let me stop you right there. I haven't seen these milk crates since I was in grade school, where they sold the milk and then they came in milk crates. That's it. But where do people get milk crates in 2021?
I would guess, I would guess you just steal them from the back of a grocery store. They're all stacked up there. Okay,
so they still maybe sell. This is how they get the milk to the grocery store or a cafeteria or something?
I'm sure you can go buy them at Walmart or something if you need to, and they're not necessarily milk crates. They're just crates.
And I think they wouldn't be nearly as sturdy as like the actual milk crates are concerned. But yeah, you can get them from stores, and maybe some of the schools still would be getting them. You know, like elementary schools, because little cartons of milk. Mm-hmm.
Okay, but just to be clear, do you guys have any access right now in your lives to milk crates? Because I have not seen one in forever and would have no idea where to go get one.
I have a couple in my garage.
Yeah, you do have a couple in your garage.
They're not necessarily milk crates, but I have 2 crates that I put my socks in my closet right here.
Okay.
But they're not really milk crates, but they could pass for this challenge, for the sake of this challenge.
Okay, because this is part of my social media viewing experience these days. I look at things, and in my head, I have to say, is this real? And if like there are some factors into what I think is what's, especially videos these days, where you can do all kinds of altering and the whole thing. And now my first question would be, where are 18 to 22-year-olds getting milk crates from in 2021? And I guess the answer would be from the dining experience that they have on campus, where you have a bunch of milk. That makes sense. All right, please continue with your story, Patrick. Sorry to.
Well, yeah, it was huge. It was huge over the weekend. Like, essentially, they don't stack perfectly on top of each other. So when you get to the one that's four crates high or 5 crates high, however many they decide to do, it starts shaking, and people were taking some really nasty spills. Lots of people had to go to the hospital, falling off from, I don't know, 7 or 8 feet high, hitting your rib. There are definitely broken ribs from like landing on the corners of the milk crates, and a lot of people got hurt. Almost everyone that did it did not succeed. The success rate had to be like 1 in 20. I probably watched an hour's worth of those videos over the weekend. So yeah, it was really big. And then yesterday, let me go on my Twitter. I retweeted the video of it. It's from Unnecessary Roughness. Tweeted a video that's basically a screen grab of Juju McDowell, the running back who's getting all sorts of buzz, doing an Instagram story of them setting up crates right outside in the grass field at 650 Lincoln, and a bunch of football players out there doing the milk crate challenge. He's up there yelling at Marshawn Lloyd, who's leaning over the balcony, like, hey, you going to come down here and do this? And thankfully, Marshawn Lloyd said, no, I'm not going to do that. And a bunch of other people did. And it's just a long story of guys doing it. One particular guy who we can't recognize, I don't know who it is, wiped out pretty good. I saw the Barstool USC page posted a video of a person looked like they broke their rib doing it. So, yeah, I just retweeted that and said, yeah, I mean, I guarantee you Juju McDowell. And also, this is what I wanted to ask you as a media person. When do they decide who's going to speak to the media today? When did they make that decision to get made?
You mean the team? Is that what you're saying?
Because Juju McDowell is speaking to the media today. That's why I was saying the headline is that Zeb Noland is speaking to the media for his first time, but also Juju McDowell is speaking to the media for the first time. And I guarantee you he's going to get questions about first of all, why'd you do that? Second of all, why'd you film it? Third of all, why did you put it on your social media page? It's a pretty ridiculous story. 2 weeks before the first game, and just
how
another
does that impact them as far as the name, image, likeness is concerned?
Yeah.
Because if you start doing stupid stuff,
right,
your draft stock goes down.
I mean, could you imagine if someone like actually did break a rib 2 weeks before the game that was actually expected to play from this?
Beamer would.
Wait a second. Is this the oldest conversation we've ever had? Is this the oldest you've ever sounded in your 25 years on
Kind of, because I think they're hilarious. I think it's such a funny situation, but like, dude, how moronic is it to just film that and put it on your social media? It's just one of these things that reminds you, yeah, these guys are actually kids. We'll watch them in 2 Saturdays and get all upset when they don't do something right, but it's like, yeah, these are actual kids. He's a couple months removed from high school, and this proves it. Like, to think that was a smart thing to do, I don't understand how.
Wait a second. You know they weren't thinking it was a smart thing to do. They were thinking it was a fun thing to do.
To think that goes on social media and no one's going to care, no one's going to look at that and say, oh, 2 weeks from the first game, yeah, this is a funny thing to do right now.
So, for the first time in the history of football, today, a Gamecock football player will likely we'll be talking as a Gamecock football player for the first time. And we could ask him, what's your welcome to the SEC moment? And it's going to be when my coach started talking to me about the milk crate challenge. Is that what's going to happen?
Yeah. I mean, Beamer's he's not going to laugh that off, right?
How you handle this is very interesting.
I could not imagine any coach. Could you imagine any coach in America just not thinking that this was a big deal and talking to the whole team and being like, guys, seriously? I mean, they should all run just all day. Like, they shouldn't practice that. They should just run and do push-ups. Like,
yeah, I got that from John Frew on Twitter last night. Just unlimited running because of this. And then David says, a lot of you guys have already weighed in on this thing. RL was some of these falls look horrific. Chris said saw a lady break her arm. Mike, at least they're not swallowing Tide Pods. That is something.
I guess, yeah.
Mike is an optimist. He's not a doom and gloom guy. Well done, Mike. And David, you can't fix stupid. To me, this is, and he says, I don't understand these TikTok challenges. Seems like it's always something to get people hurt. This is, I guess, like the latest social media trend thing. You do something like that.
Yeah.
And I think we would all be naive if we didn't think that football players were doing it. But it's the fact that you went ahead and you put the video on social media, right? And basically indicted yourself. I mean, you might as well have a video of reaching into the cookie jar.
Right.
You have a red glove on or something. And
I think that's when Beamer takes their paperwork, that shows that they've got their 4 years paid for or whatever, and just start like holding a lighter near it, like, oh, that's dangerous too. So,
Right. And I don't begrudge them for doing it necessarily. Like, well, I guess I do. I don't think it's that stupid of a thing to do. It is a stupid thing to do, but it's still funny and it's fun. And if this is happening in the back of like a frat house at USC, I would just laugh if someone fell and broke their rib. But these guys are on scholarship to play football, and the first game's in 2 weeks, and people care about them and their health and how they're going to contribute in 2 weeks. And it's just, you don't play by the same sets of rules when you're on scholarship to play football in the Southeastern Conference. So I don't hate that college kids are doing this. I think more people should be doing this and filming it, just not college football players.
So yourself, you going to try this? Is that what you're saying?
No, because I don't want to get hurt, but I encourage anyone that does want to get hurt for my entertainment to film it and put it on social media, as long as they don't play college football or college sports or professional sports.
And as a parent, I would say, my child in college, you get one of these where you get hurt. After that, you better work really hard because you're paying for the next hospital bill. Clown.
Right.
Just watching this video for the first time this morning, it does seem an easy thing to overcome, doesn't it? I mean, it seems like they're all stacked up. Walk up, you walk down. Like you're stacked up in like steps.
Yeah. You would think.
And then you see the wobble going on. As soon as I would have hit like the second one and felt the wobble, I think stepped right off and gave a salute and say, next up, you guys go right ahead. Wow. This is mind-boggling to me in so many ways. And at least Chaz is on the same page with me on the Cool Care Heating in their text line. He says, I'm a teacher. Finally found a milk crate about 2 years ago. It took me bribing one of the custodial staff. It was one of my biggest victories to date.
Wow.
Never would have thought.
I'll find a dozen more.
Yeah,
Go to USC.
That is maybe my biggest takeaway here, that there are milk crates out there in 2021. York says, watched it, and I'm not sure I actually saw any Gamecock players on the crates. Yeah, and then Travis says, I saw a video where Juju says there were no Carolina players participating and went off and people copied the videos and the whole thing. I think the point here is that when you're a Gamecock football player, you play by different rules. And you got to understand. And by the way, this is the guy, no one's been talked about more in this preseason camp than Juju McDowell, correct? No one's been talked about more, I guess, favorably, consistently, and surprisingly than a guy who's coming in at the deepest and most talented position on the team. And then he's the one that's making the social media videos, right, that the team puts out. a long touchdown run, and they even put some kind of emoji or something in that first scrimmage where he makes a spin move and makes a guy miss and takes off, and apparently did it in the second scrimmage as well, or the other day in practice. I forget which one it was. And Clayton White was saying that he was surprised at how fast he is, or that actually was DeGaryon Joyner, but was impressed with Juju McDowell. Everybody's been impressed with him. And then to see that he is the one putting it up on social media, I think is also a part of this story in so many ways. Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see, again, how Shea Beamer handles another situation where how do you win as a coach here? You come out and say, yeah, this is unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. Our players have to understand this whole thing. You come off as a little stodgy, in my opinion, right? I mean, that's not – Shane Beamer is a fun guy, it seems like.
Yeah.
Understand his players pretty well right now. Connecting with the players, being real authentic, that whole thing. But you also have to be head coach of a football team and make sure your players aren't idiots and getting hurt by doing dumb things.
And the players should know that that's dumb, though.
Right.
Like, I don't think it's an issue to come down hard and be like, I will have none of this whatsoever. Like, it's in contracts. I mean, they don't sign contracts because they're not professionals, but
I think they
like
do sign
Patrick Mahomes can't do anything more substantial than like play around a bowling. Like, he's barely allowed to play golf. I think it was one video of him shooting hoops or something. They redid his whole contract and were like, hey, just so you know, you can't play pickup basketball. You can't kick the soccer ball around in the backyard. You want to swing the golf club, okay. You want to go bowling, okay. But that's where it ends. You can't do anything.
Wait, is it a round of bowling? It's not a round of bowling, is it?
What else would it be?
It's not a game necessarily, is it?
I thought you play bowling by the round. 10 frames is a round? I don't know. I don't really bowl. I've bowled twice in the last 10 years, so.
We need to go bowling. I think what Beamer needs to do is just have the ones who actually were doing the milk crate challenge, like literally have them delivering milk and milk crates to schools for a week or something.
Yeah.
Just
that'd be pretty good.
Fun,
Just yell at them, but don't embarrass them in front of the media today. Like, you don't, when you're asked about it today, he doesn't have to say, yeah, that was moronic. And
right. Well, see, that's the thing. Like, I could see I could see him getting creative somehow. This is where you use your media team somehow, right? And you do something to kind of make fun of the fact that it was not a smart move. The message has been relayed, and it's not going to happen again.
I think what they do is identify anybody who participated. They all have to wear a milk mustache.
That's pretty good. I would imagine.
They don't do the Got Milk campaigns anymore, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen that lately. They might bring it back, or Got Milk Crate. You could do all kinds of stuff. Maybe during the conditioning portion of practice today, you just hand out a few extra milk crates filled with milk, obviously. Maybe that will solve the problem. I'm expecting some sort of creative response, I guess. Creative video to come out on this is where I'm at. I think maybe we could help this morning. Maybe our power of groupthink this morning, our collective power of creativity. 803-404-6100 if you have any ideas. You can also find us on the video stream, Facebook, YouTube Live, up and rolling on Twitter as well. The station handle is at 1075 The Game. Love for you to be a part of the show. Love to hear your thoughts on this and maybe something besides a situation that makes me shake my head and feel as old as I've ever felt in my life. It's the early game here on 1075 The Game.
Hey, we've got a way to help you with that Zoom.
Oh, Gamecock Larry, what he has to say about this, that should be gold.
Oh, yes.
I remember back when I was drill instructor.
Are we allowed to say Jackass? Probably not.
I think so.
It's the name of a show. They say the name of the show on television. Never know. I never know with those. It is a good stunt like that, though. Surprised they haven't come up with that. Actually, might not be painful enough for
policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Blue, a term provider.
800-200. Is that Jen
This
watching
is his
videos
story.
over there?
Mm-mm.
It's you, Patrick?
Huh?
Patrick.
What?
Is that you?
I'm watching the full Instagram story that he put up.
Gotcha.
Ugh.
I just don't recognize any of these guys.
Well, that's the thing you absolutely don't want to do. Come out and say, yeah, it was none of our guys, because people will break down that video and they'll have DNA samples from these dudes.
Right.
I see Aaliyah Boston watching in the background, though. I mean, they're all athletes. They're all wearing the Under Armour, like, new stuff, and it's 650 Lincoln. Like, it's where the athletes live.
One of the creepier lines you've ever said on the show. I see Aaliyah Boston watching in the background.
Well, she's one of the more I mean, I see actually the whole women's basketball team now. They're all in a line back there. I see Olivia Thompson.
I just
don't recognize. I don't recognize the football players because you don't see their faces.
Right. They didn't have their jerseys on? How dare they?
Right. Make it easy.
It definitely does look like they recruited a few random students to come try it. I mean, these things are high.
But that's what somebody was saying, that compared to other ones they've seen, it wasn't very high.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. They're 6 crates high. Oh. Like, look how high this is.
Whoa.
This is a long, high fall.
Dude.
Yeah, that's the one I saw first.
Wow.
And I think all I thought was broken ribs. Yeah.
A broken wrist. Something.
I mean, how tall is a milk crate? Over a foot?
Maybe a foot?
No more than a foot.
I hear you. The great Kelly Kapowski, 48 years old. You looked that up, huh? I think she might have dropped the amber as well, and it's just Tiffany Thiessen. Huh? I don't know. I haven't checked lately. One day I thought about following her on Twitter, and then I was like, no. Just going to ruin the memories and the illusion.
Yeah.
Like Wonder Years. What are we talking about from Wonder Years?
Winnie Cooper.
Winnie Cooper, yeah.
Seeing her on Hallmark movies.
Right. I think she is like a legit scientist, actually.
She is. She's written a couple books, about math. And they actually, I will say, are really good to help you kind of understand mathematical concepts. I picked them up for actually when my daughter was going through school. They're pretty good.
That's crazy. She has a Food Network show now. Are we talking about Winnie, or are we talking about Kelly Kapowski? And yes, I will only refer to them as their character names.
Correct. I think it must be Kelly Kapowski that has something.
The Food Network, yeah?
Yeah. She definitely hosts a food show.
There you go. Thank you, and thank you for her. Yeah, once she got on 90210, then that killed it for me.
Well, yeah. That was a whole different, yeah. And I think
who was on 90210?
Kelly Kapowski, Tiffany Thiessen.
Is that a scripted show or is that a reality show?
That was a scripted show. That was like towards the end of that run, I think.
I always get confused with like Laguna Beach and 90210. I never know which one is a real show and which one's reality.
Oh yeah, 90210.
One of them was Kristen Cavallari.
Neither one.
Oh, yeah, she was one of those.
Yeah, Cavallari was a Laguna Beach.
Kelly Kapowski was also in the Son-in-Law movie, but I digress. Guys,
Only on the video live stream sponsored by Buford Lending will you hear conversations about Kelly Kapowski and Winnie Cooper during the commercial break. We will move back. Much more serious sports topics like Milk Crate Challenge that I've never felt old. At least Travis is with me. He says, I understand. I'm feeling old as well these days. And that's how Kelly Kapowski came up. And she plays a mom in a movie and the whole thing. And rabbit hole there. I like where Marshall's coming from on the Cool Care Heating and Air Text line. Shane Beamer should offer to do the Milk Crate Challenge in front of the entire team in exchange for the assurance that none of them will do it. What do you think, Patrick? Would he go that route? Did you see it happening?
No, but I'm just thinking if he actually did it that way and put it on camera and Justin King got a nice 8K video of it and you'd see all the players going crazy running around him, it actually would be a pretty good recruiting pitch. Like, kids would watch that and say, man, you can get away with anything there. This is the ultimate players coach. I just can't see it happening. First of all, Shane Beamer's how old?
He's my age.
I don't think once you hit 30, it's safe to be attempting things like that.
Watch it, sir. Wait. It just depends on your level of activity. He's an active dude, works out. I think he's good. Me? No.
Dude, if he
I get sore for days when I play.
he falls from 7 feet and lands on a milk crate,
Yeah,
it's not going to be good. It's not going to be
no
good.
doubt. But
I mean, I don't even want to do it.
publicity.
I would have to get paid.
Well, but I think you and I are about the same age. I mean, we've done where were we the other day? Not the other day. Before everything hit, we did the testing and the whole thing.
At Apex?
Yeah. I've seen the numbers, Patrick. I think our bodies are about the same age in reality, even though we got me by 18 years. Matthew from Landrum. I think the Milk Crate Challenge is very idiotic and pointless, but at least the Players Challenge that the Gamecock football video showed, the boxes were not set up that high, Matthew says, so it was less a chance of getting hurt from it. Other videos I've seen with stacks twice as high, but I agree they shouldn't risk injury at all.
So pretty high. Yeah,
the one that you retweeted on Twitter didn't seem to be that high, and then you were just watching another one? Is that the deal? Is like a long Instagram story you said from Juju McDowell? And
yeah,
so there are various videos?
Yeah, I watched the full thing. I guess that Twitter page only got a brief screen recording of some of them, but yeah, I mean, one of them there was I think 6 or 7 crates high in the middle, and I don't know how tall a milk crate is, but they look like they were at least a foot high. So, I mean, a 6 or 7 foot fall. Plus, they're being actually flung up into the air basically because the crates are shaking and they're jumping up backwards like you slipped on something. They're getting some air.
Looks like milk crates are 12 by 12. So basically like
12 by 12, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we've gotten to the bottom of a lot of mysteries in hour number 1 this morning.
If we want to raise $500, I'll do it.
45.
Well,
Seven
Raphael
crates
does
high.
say they put money in the challenge, and if you complete it, you get the cash. He thinks they look like the original Mario Brothers from Nintendo, and the punishment should be they have to wear overalls for a week to get caught doing it.
And a milk mustache.
500 if I fall, 1,000 if I make it through. I'll do it.
You do it on grass only, though? Hey, you're thinking about this, Bob.
I would negotiate. I would negotiate asphalt.
No.
It would be a different price. It would be a different price.
What are you thinking? Have some respect for your body, sir. I might be the oldest man
Money
in the
talks.
history of the world.
Money talks.
Hour 2 coming up. Going up regular stairs. Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
There you go. You talk about getting some YouTube subscribers. That'll do it.
No, because I get nothing. That does nothing for me.
If the 1,000 YouTube subscribers pledge to put up $1, then you're talking.
Yes.
What are you saying?
Yes. If Patrick's bank account gets $1,000, then I will do it anywhere.
That sounds like a challenge.
And the copay for the hospitalization will be
Right.
where that 1K goes. But, you know.
Waddy, go ahead and start the GoFundMe. Make it happen.
What a sign Bill up for this. Hey, you weren't here today, so you missed out on.
Yeah, I've seen Bill limping enough.
Well, and for Bill, you would only have to do it 3 feet high, and it would seem like 7 feet.
I've seen that one.
Oh, I understand how the body hurts, but I'm also 25, and you might have forgotten how important money is at that time, at that age, Chris.
There you go.
Just how it looks a little different.
Yeah.
Very good point, Patrick. Very good point.
I wouldn't do it for $20. I'm not.
Oh yeah, I think at that age, $100 would definitely have me intrigued.
How bad could it be?
I will. No, not $100. I mean, just because the worst case scenario, I don't really know what it is. Definitely probably a broken arm or broken rib.
And then can he get to work with that issue?
Yeah, probably not. But a month's rent would be nice. I mean, I wouldn't go to the hospital. Just deal with it.
I got duct tape.
If it was a broken rib, I wouldn't go to the hospital.
Yeah, not a lot they can do.
I don't think you have to, right? There's nothing they really do for you. You just kind of let it heal.
Yeah, unless it's like really funky or splintered where it could puncture something important like a heart.
Right. They could check for internal bleeding.
Yeah. So I think you have to kind of be sure. Crazy kids.
Let's see what the worst injuries suffered so far. Wow, there's frozen honey trend. What is that?
And who comes up with this stuff?
Ew. Did not need to read that. Don't eat frozen honey.
Okay. Why?
Apparently that was a TikTok challenge.
No good can come of this?
Apparently that was a TikTok trend and everyone was just doing a trend and getting diarrhea from it.
Yeah, lovely.
All I wanted to do was read about the milk challenge and I got that. Looks like somebody broke their neck. So yeah, that is the worst case scenario. That would be the worst case scenario.
That'll do it.
From a 7-foot fall. Yeah.
Oh my gracious. Mm-mm.
What was the worst injury on Jackass? Was it when Butterbean knocked out Johnny Knoxville in the clothing store?
Never watched an episode.
They're movies. Well, there is a show, but you've never seen any of the movies?
No.
Nope.
What?
Dude, I feel partly responsible if I watch those things and enjoy them.
You would enjoy them.
I know, I'm sure. But then I also would feel guilty for like contributing to the whole thing, encouraging it.
Lawrence.
Well, he's done everything, I think, right? That's his thing.
That's really disappointing.
And didn't he do those bad grandpa movies or something?
Yep. Did you see those?
I watched one of them. Part of it was funny.
Yeah, I'm not as into that.
It just was kind of slow and stupid at times. Like,
They had 3 Jackass movies. They're making a 4th. Then they had the TV show, and then there was another spinoff called Wild Boys with Steve-O and Chris Pontius, and they were all great.
I go the more impractical jokers route where, nobody's really going to get hurt, but they can get, significantly embarrassed. And
before he even got into or created Jackass, Knoxville, his first ever stunt was for a magazine where he filmed himself getting shot by actually shot and wearing a bulletproof vest and testing out a bulletproof vest. And the magazine paid him, but they couldn't pay him, write a contract that said he would do that because they were like, yeah, you actually might die. We can't do this.
that's
The
nuts.
7 most, yeah. You know who Butterbean is?
Yeah, the boxer.
Yeah. Yeah, Johnny Knoxville fought him in a clothing store, and he knocked him out, and Knoxville had to get ambulance out of there.
Oh, wow.
It was pretty hardcore. Steve-O, to this day, has a BB lodged in his nipple, turns out.
All worth it.
Oh yeah, this is what Waddy's talking about. He broke what was the official? Tore his urethra doing a backflip on a bike. I can't believe that, Tim.
People are not paying enough for this entertainment right here.
Wow.
I bet everyone watching on the live stream right now has seen all those movies.
Game calculator is still hanging.
This is where I'm missing Bill and generational thing, being a guy like me. I mean, we started out the show talking Jameis Winston, Trevor Lawrence, Marcus Callaway last night, how things were looking, Urban Meyer, what are the Jaguars going to be, the whole thing, and then it turned into Gamecock football discussion, kind of, only because there are social media videos out there. But I guess this is part of what it is in 2021. This is part of the decisions that some teams make to go completely off of social media and the whole thing. Milk Crate Challenge. Never even heard of it until this morning. Never heard of it. That's how old I am. Patrick, you spent all weekend checking out the videos. When had you heard of the Milk Crate Challenge before this past weekend?
Oh, I hadn't. No, never.
This is a new thing.
It's a very new thing. I just researched it, and it appears that the first ever Milk Crate Challenge was on August 13th. And then it started to go viral the last couple of days. Everyone started doing it.
Not even 2 weeks old. 2020 is something, isn't it? And so now this has become 2021. That's how old I am. I don't even know what year it is. This has become a thing with Juju McDowell, the spark plug, exciting running back, true freshman, coming in and making a name for himself in preseason practice, just practices in. Been on the social media Gamecock football page for the first scrimmage, I believe it was, or maybe it was just a practice run, but I thought it was the first scrimmage where he makes a spin move and takes off. It looks like 75 yards or something for a touchdown. They even put some kind of a emoji on the video to have a little fun with it. And then it's his Instagram page where this popped up. Is that correct, Patrick?
Correct.
Looks like it's at 650 Lincoln there where all the athletes stay. Right on a grassy area where Milk Crate Challenge right in front of you. And And now it's what happens from here. Because Juju McDowell expected to talk today for the first time as a Gamecock football player. Shane Beamer will have his first weekly press conference at 1:15 this afternoon. You can hear it right here on 107.5 The Game. We've gotten nothing official since the last scrimmage on Saturday night. Now, Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central put out that he's hearing that Zeb Noland is a legit candidate, challenging fellow transfer Jason Brown. Noland, the North Dakota State quarterback last spring, was a graduate assistant coach on the team for several weeks before deciding to use his last year of eligibility after Luke Doty gets hurt. The midfoot sprain that came up, actually same injury now. They're calling what Travis Etienne did last night in the Jaguars-Saints game. A former Clemson running back, also a midfoot sprain at this point, out indefinitely. Read it verbatim in hour number one. Just ESPN's injury analyst saying the midfoot sprain varies greatly on recovery time just based on the severity and how stable the rest of the foot is. And that directly pertains to Luke Doty, where the prognosis is good compared to how it could be. We saw the opposite of that with Jake Bentley when he had the complete Liz Frank fracture on his foot to start the 2019 season opener and missed the rest of the season. So how Shane Beamer handles this will be very interesting, and what kind of attention he gives towards it, because we saw him handle adversity with the Luke Doty injury very strongly. When you say, Patrick, is that the best way to put it? Aggressively, with calling out the doom and gloom. And then Colton Gauthier, I feel like, gave us a little bit of the behind the scenes, saying that Beamer came in the quarterback room that day and told them, I want to see smiles. We're going to have fun. We're not going to let that beat him. What are you giggling at?
Listen, it's not doom and gloom. However, we are pulling one of our coaches off the staff and turning him into a player because we need bodies. But don't freak out. It just reminded me of the Cowboys tweet last week where they said, hey, guys, don't freak out. Not a cause for concern. But Dak Prescott has to go get an MRI today. Don't freak out, though. And everyone just immediately just started panicking. That's exactly how I felt about Shane Beamer. Not a big deal. No doom and gloom, no nothing. However, we do need to turn a coach into a quarterback just to field enough guys for practice. It's all okay, though. It's all good.
Speaking of that, Tony hits us up. Cool Care Heating and Air text line 803-404-6100. Tony, I need a little bit more information here. I need you to confirm after a follow-up question to your text. He says, I work nights at the hospital here in Columbia. We had at least 2 people come in with injuries from the Milk Crate Challenge. I need confirmation on Gamecock football players, maybe Gamecock athletes in general. Please confirm that those were not the 2. Neither one of those. John Casey.
And were they last night?
How I read that.
He said I work nights and we've had at least 2 people come in. If they were both last night, both from the same setup at 650 Lincoln, that would be something.
Yeah, all speculation at this point. John K says it seems the challenge on grass might be a softer fall, but concrete or a flat surface would be more stable. Just a thought. Either is pretty dumb. So is that what you were thinking about? Because I thought I asked you, you said you might be open to doing this at a certain price. Would you do it on grass or would you have to do it on grass? I thought the answer was going to be immediately yes, but you're thinking about the actual stability of the crates maybe being a little bit better? Right, that's all I was thinking about.
Yeah, I was only thinking about the landing. I was just thinking that I'm willing to do it on any surface, but the prices will be different. I will have to double or triple my price to do it on concrete or asphalt.
I can only imagine if I'm feeling a little out of touch and old this morning at 43 years old, how our favorite 87-year-old caller is thinking about the milk crate in this conversation. I'm guessing Gamecock Larry is not very pleased with us. I'm going to blame it on Patrick this morning. How do you see things, Larry? How you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling okay. I ain't going to say nothing about milk crate challenge. I just let it go. But, you done made me forget what Root Hog finally called me sometime this morning or last night, left a message No, I answered the phone. I was awake. And he told me he got his foursome ready for the golf thing Friday out there. Well, I've had mine for about a month and a half, because I filled my foursome up right quick when they found out we was going to do that. I was going to challenge a root hog. So we'll be out there. He got a foursome, I got a foursome. We'll go from there. Now, another thing y'all was talking about yesterday about the quarterbacks that the Gamecocks have signed or had in the last 7, 8, 10 years. And a lot of them was 3-star and 4-star and all that, but none of them panned out. Well, it sounds like we just didn't have a quarterbacks coach. But I don't know. I guess I don't know who the quarterbacks coach is this year, but I guess it might be old Shane. And we got us a quarterback coach this year. And don't worry about Jake No, Lord, don't worry about Luke Doty's injury. We got 4 quarterbacks. 4 quarterbacks. Zeb, Jason, CG, and the walk-on. We ain't worried about a thing. Because Zeb's going to show us something. We got Jason to back him up. That's about all I got to say, I think. I got stuff written down here and I can't read my shorthand. You guys don't know what shorthand is, because that's a long time ago in grade school and high school shorthand. But that's about all I got to say to you guys. I'm just waiting to talk to old Bill this afternoon. The time I be no, I won't. You guys are great. I love you guys. I'll see you Friday morning, bright and early, with my riding cart and my steering wheel in one hand and my golf club in the other. Go Gamecocks.
Gamecock Larry putting a smile on my face this morning. That doesn't put a smile on your face. I don't understand. Going to be out at the golf tournament on Friday at Charwood. That's great news. Steering wheel in one hand. I didn't know you had a steering wheel on those carts, by the way. I thought it was more the bike thing, you know? And then the golf club in the other. I'm going to stay out of his reach. I know that. And I'm looking forward to him yelling at Bill this afternoon. Bill's going to be filling in for Heath from 4 to 7. Tim Hill, Patrick Perrett, Jen Jensen with you this morning. The Milk Crate Challenge, amongst other things, on the docket. 803-404-6100 if you would like to join in on the program. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
5 The Game. The game is on the air.
Let's change this audio so you could hear me. Yes, I did.
Did you watch the new Ted Lasso?
There, RL, that was my bad. The challenges back in the day. How many people could fit into a VW Bug or a phone booth? Like at least that ice bucket challenge, wasn't that for a good cause? Yeah, typically, aren't these challenges on social media for a good cause?
I wouldn't say that. Not the TikTok ones.
Oh yeah.
The TikTok ones are just to go viral, because you can make money if you go viral.
Just devolved into that, huh?
I mean, it's very entertaining seeing people get hurt.
Sick. Just sick.
You ever seen this one?
Seen what launched the porta potty?
Yeah,
No.
it's pretty amazing. Steve-O's sitting in a porta potty, and it's basically on like a giant bungee cord, and they launch it up in the air. He goes flying up, and all of the contents of the porta potty are
Flying as well. Morning, Alan.
as well.
The boy RL.
I mean, you should get them on DVD and then just kind of log which scenes are appropriate, and then watch them with your kids.
Definitely not.
What not to do. Some of them are fun, and
They got enough ideas to hurt themselves already without me putting in more.
Steve-O wearing tidy whities, climbing on a tightrope with a turkey chicken leg stuffed in the back of his underwear and crocodiles underneath of him trying to grab him while he's walking the tightrope. It's classic.
This is the biggest generational divide that we have, Patrick.
It's not even my generation.
I know, it's mine. Actually, I think Johnny Knoxville's older than I am.
Yeah, he definitely is. Johnny Knoxville's got to be over 50. Yeah, he is 50. I mean, he is gray. He is very gray.
It's almost like he's lived hard.
Steve-O is 47. Pontius is 47. Bam was the youngster of the group. Even he's, 41? Yeah. Anything with Wee Man and Preston is amazing.
Gamecock Larry said he needs the info on the live stream, but he said he said, I don't know. He said, I've got a face probably not good for live stream. I said, well, then you blend. So yeah. Maybe that could be a fun Friday feature or something.
Jen, any idea what Michael texted in about? Are you guys going to have Dale Earnhardt Jr. in studio next week where fans can call in just because he's going to be in Darlington? Is that what he's thinking?
Could be. Yeah, I don't.
I would think you would know if we were having him on the show, Tim. I think you'd probably be the first to know.
I just wonder why he asked like that was a possibility or no problem.
It'll be something if Jen just had that in her back pocket and was going to drop it on us. Yeah, by the way, Dale Jr. is coming on today.
Yeah, there's no way I would be this calm if that were the situation. I'd be pretty excited about that.
I would want to know what team name he wanted for Washington. He's one of our – it's like him and McConaughey are our most famous fans.
Okay, now if McConaughey was here, then yeah, that would also be not a terrible thing.
Definitely watched Viva La Bam, Logan. I watched all the spinoffs. Viva La Bam, Wild Boys.
Yeah.
Just
Not
awesome.
for me.
Oh,
Right back in.
sucks what happened to Bam. He is completely left this earth. He is a psycho.
Guys are up.
If you're like Gamecock Larry or others out there, sometimes you just got a hot take, you need to get it out. Give us a call at 803-978-6654. The Hot Take Hotline there for you 24/7. Whenever you need it, that's what it's there for. You can call the vent, complain, maybe celebrate, whatever you need to do. The Hot Take Hotline, 803-978-6654, sponsored by Twin Peaks for the men who never settle. Go see them down in the Vista at 600 Gervais Street. So, it's Milk Crate Challenge. It has me feeling old this morning. And so does the news from the Fiesta Bowl yesterday. I'm still confused at how we have gotten here. The Fiesta Bowl signs a partnership where Caesars is going to now basically be the sponsor. I guess they got rid of the Tostitos? They traded Tostitos for Caesars. It's actually a guaranteed rate bowl right now as well. So now Caesars will host some lounges at the Fiesta Bowl, at the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, which is played in downtown Phoenix there at Chaseview, where this is another example, Patrick, of how the NCAA basically has no power at all. College football is completely separate because if you have to go through NCAA approval or anything here, I would imagine you can't get it, or certainly you couldn't get it ever. How does this work? Because fans going to be allowed to make bets at the sports book and bar right beside Chase Field here. And I get name, image, and likeness has happened. We've evolved from that standpoint this year, but it seems like everything is just kind of getting thrown at one time, and college football is just massively changing the game with when you got Caesars partnering with a bowl game here and a betting not just encouraged but being sponsored.
Yeah, it's the future.
This is just a reality. This is what college football is.
Yeah, I mean, every new arena or stadium that's going to be built is going to have a sports book attached to it where you can walk right in. As soon as you enter the stadium, you're going to be able to walk into the sports book and make bets on the team. Like, that is the new world. It changed very, very quickly. But as soon as any sports gambling became legal outside of Las Vegas, it was just the floodgates were opened and everyone wanted to get on it. There's too much money. So, I mean, yeah, there's billions upon billions upon billions of dollars being thrown around in this industry. Everyone's trying to be the biggest name, and I got like DraftKings, FanDuel, Penn, Caesars, all these companies all competing. So it makes sense to go in there and get a bowl game. The Fiesta Bowl is a good bowl game. So, I mean, their name will be out there. People will be betting big money on a good matchup. Just because it's amateur athletics, you think it's strange, or just because I don't know what necessarily the hang-up is. I mean, I know people are always worried about, I guess, games being thrown. We've discussed that, but that's just not going to happen anymore. I mean, I don't know how it's possible. It just is what it is. This is the new normal.
Well, let me be very clear. Lou Holtz, when he was the coach of South Carolina back in the day, I think went and testified in front of Congress about how he thought betting should not be a part or be legalized, and it would ruin the game of college sports, and he's concerned about people throwing games and all that kind of stuff. And at the time, it's like, no, you're not understanding that that's the way you can monitor that. When you have lines out there, the guys that know what games are being thrown are the guys that are taking bets. And the millions, if not billions of dollars spent on this thing, it makes a lot of sense for the government to get their piece of it and tax it at least, because it's going to happen. We know that. So for legalizing this, I've always thought it was a bit of a no-brainer and something that our country should do, a lot like this is just basically the setup in European soccer, right? You make the bets right there in the stadiums and the whole thing. This is how it works there, Patrick. You're much more of a soccer guy than I am. This is
Sounds right. Sure.
Okay,
I don't know.
But just the fact that it's happening all like this, it seems like stacking on top of each other. Caesars is going to be the official partner of like the pregame Fiesta Bowl parties.
Yeah.
It's a big jump. I feel like just from a perception standpoint, from the old Tostitos, and someone just hit us up, it's PlayStation now the more recent sponsor and the whole thing. It makes sense in a lot of ways, and then in a lot of ways it's kind of counterintuitive if you're going to tell players to stay away from the gambling and the whole thing. And by the way, here's a pre-bowl game gift from Caesars.
Do you think that's going to, I guess, will that ever change? Like, will players be allowed to gamble, but if you find out that they've ever gambled on their own team, then it just has to be a zero tolerance policy?
I would think sports gambling in general will be always off limits to them. I mean, you want to go play blackjack or something, obviously that's not a.
I mean, can LeBron James bet on the Cowboys?
Right. I'm guessing. I mean, legally, I don't know what the NBA policy is on that. I wouldn't assume there is one necessarily.
I know it's strict in college because I mean, when I played college lacrosse, we couldn't do a March Madness bracket. Our coach, we were like doing a group message saying like, "Hey, $5 buy-in for the March Madness bracket," and our coach was like, "Yeah, you can't do that." Yeah,
Rick Neuheisel got hot water from that back in the day when he was a college football coach. I think that was at his stop at Colorado before UCLA, maybe right after that. A little fuzzy on those details, but yeah, obviously that's ridiculous, right? $5 for a college football, a college basketball March Madness pool is a much different thing than having Caesars connected to a bowl game. And that's where you run the risk, I think, of it just looking bad, if nothing else. But I'm also of the mindset that, hey, these guys that do it professionally, they get the information out there, and then they have the control of it, at least and when I say control of it, they can understand if things are fishy a lot quicker than you can if everything's under the table, if that makes sense, where you'd have to have investigation and it would be much less obvious. Maybe this is just the way to go moving forward. And obviously, it's the way our country is moving as well. Like you mentioned, the DraftKings, the FanDuel, the whole thing with the fantasy sports. It's clearly been the trend and where we're moving. Just didn't quite see this happening this year like this with the Fiesta Bowl partnering up with Caesars and changing the perception of things in college football, specifically here in this way. Be interesting to see if it continues to trend in that direction, what kind of backlash, if any, this causes. But a piece of news yesterday, certainly worth mentioning for sure. Yeah.
It's not the Frosted Flakes, it's just the Tony the Tiger. So he's gone rogue because he left Frosted Flakes. Sounds like Tony's a free agent.
That would be amazing. He starts just pumping other products. Like, forget those Frosted Flakes, man.
It would be interesting. The cartoonist had a contract with Frosted Flakes and it ran out, so he's shopping Tony the Tiger to other brands.
I mean, and Barstool Sports has its own sponsored bowl game now. We saw this for Gamecock football.
They basically are a sports book now too. Like, that's what their new thing is.
Right. In 2014, it was basically the Duck Dynasty guys. I was out there on the field in Shreveport, Louisiana, when they were doing the coin toss. Or remember that very specifically. So it's not necessarily a new thing. It's just that Vegas and a sports book with Caesars now connected to a college football bowl game in the Fiesta Bowl partnership there. Very interesting. 803-404-6100 is the number if you would like to join the show. We officially kick off the second half of this morning when we come back. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game. Proud of us here at the house. Where I'm sitting right now in my garage looks a lot more. I didn't have to step over anything to get to my seat. Actually, we're a lot more organized here today. Our plan is to get more organized around the house here in the next couple of weeks. Now that back to school has started, the summer madness might be ending or coming to an end at least. And we've had some professional help at our house. Certainly recommend you get some at yours. If you're looking for that fresh home feel, Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning does it better than anyone else. They have been out to my house a couple of times, cleaned my carpets, cleaned an area rug for me, cleaned both the tile in the kitchen and my bathroom, and did a great job. Great results, but it's how Zero Res does it specifically that sets them apart. They have a patented powered water system. You can go on ZeroResColumbia.com and find out all the details about how they crank up the pH in the water. All I needed to know is that they gave me great results, and no harsh chemicals were involved in the cleaning process. That's especially important to me. With an 6-year-old and a 1-year-old at my house, nothing for us to worry about in my family. And, they're always rolling around on the floor. They were just doing it on the new area rug the other day, just in ridiculous, like cartoonish fashion. I really need to get a handle on my kids. That's a different story. You need to take advantage of their summer sale. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, only $119, plus a free hallway when you mention me, Tim Hill. Book online right now at ZeroResColumbia.com. Give them a call at 803-262-4020. That's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. You're definitely not, Chris. That was my first thought yesterday. Oh, sweet avatar there, Cullen. George Rogers back in the day. How about this tweet I just got from Yule? The year before Lou Holtz got here, when Brad Scott's Gamecocks went 1-10, they're also 1-10 against the spread, he says, with Ole Miss being the only cover. Yep, just missing. Oh, McCarron's out, so Josh Rosen is in Atlanta, huh? Who else is there as a backup? Felipe Franks? Whoa.
Felipe Franks is the backup in Atlanta? Is that what you said?
Now, I think he was the third stringer with AJ McCarron was the backup. McCarron got hurt. Now, Josh Rosen's being brought in.
Is that his 4th team?
What's that?
Is that his 4th team?
Yeah, I think so. Double check that for you.
Yeah, Cardinals, Dolphins, Bucks, and now Dolphins.
Did you get 49ers in there?
When was with the 49ers?
Yep, just recently with the Niners, right?
It was Bucks, then 49ers?
Bucks, then 49ers, right?
I didn't even know that he wasn't on the Bucks practice. I thought the Bucks were the ones that just released him. I didn't even know that.
No, San Francisco.
That's tough.
So, what do we got there then? Cardinals,
Yeah, Cardinals, Dolphins,
Bucks, Niners, and now Falcons. So fifth.
It has been awful situation after awful situation, but Seems like kind of.
You know what changes an awful situation in the NFL real quick?
A good quarterback.
Exactly. All right, got some very serious sports headlines here for you. If you're just joining the show, it's 7:36. Jameis Winston last night looking really good for the New Orleans Saints in their exhibition win against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence played the first half, and I would say looked okay. He didn't have much help, didn't have much time. The Jaguars offense, I think he just led them to one scoring drive that ended up in a field goal. And Travis Etienne, maybe the headline of that game for the Jaguars, goes out after just a catch and a carry with a midfoot sprain, a lot like Luke Brody has, the Gamecock starting quarterback, indefinitely is how long Etienne is out at this point. No more details around that, but Jameis Winston looked good. It looks like he has beaten out Taysom Hill, that starting quarterback role. And Patrick, as you're donning your Saints cap today, you're saying that Taysom Hill has already basically said that if he doesn't get the starting quarterback job, he wants out of New Orleans. Is that?
Yeah, that's what he said. He said, I want to be the starting quarterback, and if they don't see me that way, then I should probably go somewhere else. That's what he said. But, I mean, he's making $12 million a year to be a gadget guy. There couldn't be any team that would trade for him to be their starting quarterback right now. I don't know that there's any quarterback room or starting quarterback position that he would upgrade right now. I don't know who – I mean –
this just seems to be I get it. You want to have ambition and you want to keep getting better and the whole thing. And I believe that Taysom Hill really believes he can be a starting quarterback in the NFL, but nothing we've seen from him proves it. And to me, if you can't beat out Jameis Winston, then you're not going to be a good NFL starting quarterback. That's what Jameis Winston has proved to me in his time in the league. And maybe it's just a reality check for Taysom Hill, or maybe he'll stand by that, and we'll see if there's any more interest out there. But to me, the role that he's kind of made for himself and the career he's made for himself has been fantastic. You might not want to think that the grass is greener on the other side of that quarterback spectrum if you're Taysom Hill, but it'd be interesting to follow that for sure. We'll get back into the conversation about Urban Meyer, Trevor Lawrence, and the Jaguars. First, more NFL news. Josh Rosen signed by the Atlanta Falcons to help their quarterback depth after A.J. McCarron's out injured. Felipe Franks also in the mix to back up Matt Ryan there for the Falcons. College football, the Fiesta Bowl partnering with Caesars Entertainment. Several of you heard it kind of like I first last night that it was like Little Caesars Pizza. No. We're talking about Caesars out in Vegas and the entertainment deal, and that's why that's a big headline with the combination of Vegas and college sports with the Fiesta Bowl and Caesars partnership. And then it was I don't even know how to put this story. How do we put it in context? That the latest social media craze was the milk crate challenge, and a video popped up on social media from Juju McDowell's account, the new Gamecock running back, true freshman, of that happening basically on the campus of South Carolina over at 650 Lincoln, where all the athletes live. And now we will get some reaction today from that, I would imagine, from either Juju McDowell himself, Shane Beamer having to address it amongst his team. I think it's just the obvious question and concern from fans. Don't want players doing something that could get them injured, especially now, 11 days away from the season opener.
And just reflecting poorly on the program. I mean, this tweet that I retweeted, I mean, it has a lot of engagement. This account has 70,000 followers and tweeted that, and everyone's basically just making jokes about South Carolina and kind of rubbing it in on the whole thread. So it's not a good reflection on your program. No. It was one Twitter user on August 13th posted a video of it, and it got put on TikTok, I guess, and got 5-point-something million views, and then everyone started doing it, and it got really big and kind of reached a boiling point this weekend, where there were just hundreds of videos, it seemed like.
But again,
yeah,
unlike other social media crazes, like there was the Ice Bucket Challenge that reached, like there was a good cause behind it, and this was basically, hey, this looks cool, let's try it, right? Is that what?
It's just this is funny. People are getting hurt. Let's continue to film them getting hurt because people like watching people get hurt. Yeah.
I mean, Tony did hit us up, says he works overnight at hospitals. 2 people have been in. How Shane Beamer handles this will be really interesting to me because it's a tough one, I think, from his standpoint, that especially as a new head coach, obviously you don't want your players doing anything dumb. But, I mean, you don't want to come off as being the no fun guy as well. I don't know which way Shane Beamer will go with this, but I'm sure we'll hear it later on. Day 115 is when his weekly press conference scheduled, his first weekly press conference during the season. We'll have it for you right here on Sunday.
Do you think that we'll hear anything about it? I mean, I don't really think we will. I think it'll be asked to Juju McDowell, and he'll say, yeah, none of the football players did it. We were just doing it because we thought it was funny, but coach told me. We talked, and I won't post things like that anymore. I don't want to give off that impression or whatever. And Shane Beamer will just basically say, yeah, I talked to Juju about it. We just got to be a little bit smarter, but no big deal. None of our football players. I don't think he'll use it like Saban would probably make a coaching point out of it and talk about how probably go on a 3 or 4 minute diatribe about it and how it means how great football teams don't do this or whatever. I kind of think they will try and just minimize the situation as much as possible.
Maybe. Yeah. The Nick Saban tantrum over the weekend was that his team's not a democracy and had to do about his all-American tight end, or at least preseason all-American tight end, and not doing what he's been asked to do in the whole thing. So, yeah, I have no idea that Waddy hits us up on Facebook live stream. Could you imagine if Saban, if that were his players? To me, there's a couple of different problems with this thing, though. It's not just that you're putting yourself in harm's way, right, and doing a silly kind of college stunt, but also then that you're putting it out on social media. It's a two-pronged thing. And that's where I think you can use this, assuming, as we all are, that no one was injured in the filming of those from a Gamecock football perspective. You just use it as a coaching moment for a young player, right? Young, talented guy made a mistake and should not have done that. And then there was an overreaction, I'm sure, by a lot of the Gamecock fans, and maybe you can say by us just talking about it at all on the radio. And you make sure that those players use this as an example. Hey, you guys aren't normal college. You can't do what normal college kids might do or the average college kid would do, because there are repercussions. People are watching, and there are going to be questions asked, and that's part of the deal. And Juju McDowell will find that out very quickly today, that the questions asked of him will not all be about, hey, what about your spin move and your highlight touchdown that's popped up on social media? Also about the videos that you chose to put up there and the reaction accordingly. And Patrick, you asked it, will he even be asked about it or the whole thing? Maybe if we're in the middle of the season, maybe not. But because we don't get to watch, maybe if there's open practice and we get to see much more of Juju McDowell on the field as opposed to a play or two, I think that's been posted on social media, just because of where we are, I think, in the preseason as well. Not quite to the first game, and knowing that the first game is Eastern Illinois and not this ain't Clemson and Georgia. I think that's why you might see a little bit more attention on this than otherwise,
Well,
just from a timing standpoint.
It's also just, I was almost thinking, because this video came out and people were talking about it, and then afterwards is when the list of media availability came out, where it said Juju McDowell is going to be available for media. So I was wondering, is it fully coincidental that
Yes.
he's talking the day after this went viral, or is Shane Beamer almost like, hey, I've got a plan. I'm going to put this guy in front of the media. This is going to be a one-day story, and that's it. I'll make
Pretty
sure
genius.
that this all gets handled in one day, and it's not going to get talked about ever again.
Maybe, but I would think this is just a natural byproduct of Juju McDowell getting about as much as he has been in preseason practice by other players and coaches that have been impressed with his early work and how he has sparked the team, how he's playing much bigger than he's listed at 5'7", 180 or something like that, maybe 5'8", 180, and they say that he just plays a lot bigger than that. I think that's the notable part. This is just a side note for sure, but an interesting one as it pertains to kind of the social media crazes and what gets popular, man, and what gets going. And it's crazy to me. It takes over. And I'm with Michael on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Where do you find that many milk crates? I have no idea. Yeah, and we are seriously talking about this. Somebody just asked, are you seriously talking about this? Just stop. No, it's a thing, man. It's a thing. I know, it's crazy. For sure. We'll see what we get into when we come back. Dramatic conclusion, hour number 2 coming up next. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game. Well, I saw that trailer of the Candyman go by on the game last night as I was watching it. Not cool, man.
That's a horror movie, right?
Yep. What was
The
it?
big trailer release was the new Spider-Man trailer came out yesterday.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was some kind of Marvel deal. I guess that is a Marvel movie, huh?
Spider-Man? Yeah. Although I don't think that they're on. It's not on Disney Plus, unfortunately. I don't think, because Sony owns the property. I need to check that.
Never saw it. Well, never saw it, but I can just tell from that. I've heard about it, I guess, just from other people growing up, and then seeing that trailer.
I didn't know it was a remake.
Oh yeah. Let's look that up.
Yeah, Spider-Man's not on Disney Plus. It's a real shame.
92. Looks like it was the original.
Yeah, it looks like there's actually nowhere really to watch the Spider-Man movies. I've been rewatching all the Marvel movies. I'm on phase 2.
No, definitely not a horror movie guy. You a horror movie guy, Patrick?
No, I hate horror movies.
Same thing, huh?
We try to watch them like, as a kid, like slumber parties, like everybody get all freaked out and
Mhm.
nope.
I never saw the allure. Like people, it's like when someone hands you something like spoiled milk or something, like, oh man, smell this. And like, no, I believe you.
Right.
Good. Like,
Taste this.
oh,
I think
did
it's bad.
you see that movie? It scared the crap out of me. Okay, I believe you. I'm good.
Yeah. I'm not into ghosts or spirits or I don't even know what else. But
Yeah.
I don't like that
realm.
realm. It well, not in it. I watched the opening scene of It 2 with my roommates one day, and the clown like sucked a kid down the drain and ate him, and I was like, yeah, no thanks. I'm out of here.
No, because then that's just in my head for too long.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe Beamer goes that route. RL, you want to do it? That's fine. This is America. You have freedom. You also have the freedom to take your plane.
That's true. You're making your own choice.
That's why we allow these guys to have social media. It's all about making choices.
There you go.
Audit, which one are you saying was fantastic? What movie?
Yeah. The older brothers, man. I think it was Child's Play at my cousin's sleepover that got me. Chucky, man.
Heading back in.
It.
Can't do it.
My daughter is more brave on that stuff than I am. You guys are up.
Looks like Travis Etienne in the same boat as Luke Doty. Ian Rappaport reporting just a few minutes ago on Twitter that Etienne did have a Liz Frank injury from yesterday. X-rays negative, so the belief is it's just a sprain. Exams today will determine how long he's out. The ESPN injury analyst take I saw on this was it just depends how stable the foot is, I guess, and maybe we'll get more details on this when we hear from Shane Beamer later today about Luke Doty's injury. Maybe not. Maybe we're past that, and the midfoot sprain is all we'll get there, and then it's all about Luke Doty, I assume, out of the cast at this point and really getting into the rehab right middle of the rehab, trying to get ready for a week from Saturday against Eastern Illinois, where Gamecock coaches, I'm sure, will reiterate what they've been saying so far. They'll only play if he's 100%, and they won't put him in any harm's way, which has led us to the quarterback discussion about Zeb Noland or Jason Brown. Looks like Colton Gauthier is a little bit farther behind than the more experienced guys, and who will end up starting at quarterback. Don't know if we'll get any word on that today, but we will get the latest when Shane Beamer talks at 1:15 in his first weekly press conference. That will be the routine for Tuesdays moving forward. 1:15 for Shane Beamer. Going to speak after several players speak, including Juju McDowell, who put up the milk crate challenge video on social media. Did that pop up yesterday, or was that before yesterday, Patrick?
No, that was yesterday.
Okay.
And yesterday evening.
If you're like me and you have no idea what the milk crate challenge is, it is exactly what it sounds like. They just stack up some milk crates, and you basically just try to walk up the stairs and walk down the stairs of the stacked milk crates, and they're not safe. And it is. There's some big time wipeouts, including there over in that set of videos, right? From about 6 or 7 milk crates high. We figured out they're a foot each.
Yep, 6 high. Brutal.
Hour 3 coming up. Ujo. Mm-hmm.
I'll just never watch any of those.
Yeah, not happening for me.
Not a I think the last time I attempted to watch a horror movie was Doctor Sleep, which is the sequel. It's pretty new, stars Ewan McGregor, but it's supposed to be the sequel to The Shining. But I watched the opening scene and it was terrifying, and I was like, yeah, I'm not watching this movie. Or was it a sequel or a prequel? It might have been a prequel to The Shining. I can't remember which one it is. But The Shining's about as close to a horror movie as I'll watch.
Yeah, see, I like suspense movies.
Yeah.
Silence of the Lambs, great movie, loved it.
Shutter Island freaked me out.
What's that?
Shutter Island freaks me out.
I don't think I saw Shutter Island.
Oh, with Leo? Oh, so good. And Mark
Yeah.
Ruffalo?
I might have seen it. I don't know.
That's a great movie. It's a Scorsese movie.
Seven's one of my favorites.
Yeah, Seven.
But to me, it's a thin line between like believability and then just like, oh, I see what you guys are doing with your horror movies. This is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's whenever it takes me to across that line, that's when I'm out. Like, oh, the doll's talking now. All right, I'm done. Or
That almost makes it, the more ridiculous it is, I'm almost more okay with it because I won't be scared.
right.
I can see that.
Like, this is dumb. I don't
Like-
want to actually be scared.
I love the movie Scream because it kind of made fun of the horror stuff, and it was just kind of a fun movie where they would throw in those tricks or whatever and make fun.
I mean, I will never watch The Conjuring.
It sounds awful.
Those are supposed to be incredibly scary.
That doesn't. Just the title of that is not gonna. It's not gonna get me there, Waddy.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. There is no mention of Austin Powers in any of those titles.
Yeah, no, I'm not a supernatural guy either. I'm saying I'm like a straight suspense. Like if there's, they're trying to solve a crime or trying to catch somebody,
Mm-hmm.
you throw in a little extra gore or whatever, I can handle it. It's got to be relatively realistic to keep me involved. Once it crosses the line, I'm out. Can't do it.
I think the last thing that would maybe qualify as horror was Midsummer, where it's a group of kids like go to Sweden for the Midsummer Festival and basically get like drugged and taken over by a cult of people that live there.
Okay.
That was pretty creepy.
I never did the Friday the 13th or the Nightmare on Elm Street. It's just couldn't get there.
I've never seen either of them.
Another title
I
that
have.
people get into.
I had to watch Halloween in a film studies class. I've seen the first Halloween, but that's it.
Yeah, I'm with you on Jaws, York. Yeah, Hannibal was a miss. That was a miss. But no way you could go and watch Seven or Silence of the Lambs in the theater and laugh like that was. No way.
Yeah. Seven, Silence of the Lambs, and Shutter Island I kind of put in the same category because they're about crazy people, and crazy people are scary.
Yeah, I remember, I'll never forget being in the theater at 7 and it ends and no one moves. It was just, And Silence of the Lambs was like my first one. I was right on the cusp. I think it was in like 7th grade, maybe. Watching that scene in the theater with like the old night vision goggles. Whew. Amazing.
Yeah, the bugs
Ugh.
freak me out on that.
Dave says Pearson would be disappointed in us. Apparently he's a horror movie guy.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's in the box. I'm going to go run check on the family real quick.
What movie case in my room right now? Let's see. Guess not. Ugh. Dang. I guess my movies are downstairs. I don't really have any horror movies.
Like I said, I think my deal is I think too much. That's the reason I can't. Once I have a visual, it takes a long time to get it out of my head, and that's why I can't do like really overly sad movies. That
Yeah.
It all gets just. I just think too much.
I can't do any of those at night. I could maybe get away with a matinee, and then I come out and the sun's still out, and I have all day to just forget about what I watched. Then I might be able to sleep, but
I mean, like I never saw, and I can't even tell you which movie the murder spelled backwards on the mirror. It was
Red Rum.
Red Rum. Yeah,
that's The Shining. The little twins saying Red Rum.
Is it okay? I never saw the movie. I just heard it and had the visual in my head, and so for a while after that, I would go in the bathroom and I'd have to have the lights on because I would just be freaked out. It's like, and I didn't even see the movie, so there's no way I can watch them.
Red Rum.
I mean, I would definitely always sprint up the steps whenever I turn the lights out of my basement. I would probably still do that.
We had a storage room out in the farm, and of course I was a kid, so I was littler. And man, I would just race past that, and that was just because we had like Halloween decorations in that corner, and I guess I was sure that one skeleton was coming along. I don't know, but so yeah, my brain just doesn't do the horror stuff well.
I've pretty much heard everyone say that The Conjuring is the best of the last few years of horror movies.
All right, about to head back in.
Like snakes on a plane?
Yeah. Yep.
Anaconda?
Yeah. Only good snake I've ever seen is a dead one. Yet I know there's benefits to having them around. Guys, right.
I'll see the headline. Didn't even think about it yesterday from Matt Conley, who covers Clemson, former writer for the state newspaper, talking about Clemson's struggles in New Orleans. So last night it was the Jacksonville Jaguars in New Orleans taking on the Saints. Trevor Lawrence and company not able to move the football very well in the first half. And also Travis Etienne out injured, a Liz Frank type of injury. Midfoot sprain is what they're calling it. And awaiting her tests, a lot like the Luke Doty situation went down from Gamecock football's perspective. And no word right now, out indefinitely is all they're giving right now about the Travis Etienne moving forward. What I saw was Jameis Winston playing really well, 9 out of 10 passing, a couple of long touchdowns to Marquez Callaway. And the first time I've seen Trevor Lawrence struggle, or certainly not struggle to the level that he did, leading his team to just one scoring drive. I think it was a field goal towards the end of the first half, and saw him take off running one time and was just kind of holding my breath for him because he went right into about 4 Saints headhunters and fortunately was just fine and the whole thing. I think I was doing the calculation, Patrick, in my head of risk versus reward, and it just wasn't worth the risk. But when you're young, you're a football player, you're not thinking about it. Maybe like an old 43-year-old dude who's never felt older in our conversation today, that has included a maybe way too in-depth analysis of the milk crate challenge and what the latest social media craze is, and then how it might pertain to Gamecock football specifically, after seeing Juju McDowell, the freshman running back, put a video out of it taking place at 650 Lincoln there on campus is what it looks like for sure. And then who, or if any, football players took part in it, and then how does a coach handle that and the whole thing. It's been quite the discussion. What have you gotten from the discussion so far this morning, Pat?
Not a whole. I mean, just kids. Just their kids. At the end of the day, we sometimes forget that they're actual kids, and you think back or meet another 18-year-old who isn't doing press conferences and playing on ESPN. You're like, oh yeah, you're pretty immature. You actually don't have it figured out yet. But yeah, I mean, this is only going to be more and more common. They can't go 5 minutes without posting something on social media. So I wonder if Shane Beamer's almost relieved, where he's like, these guys are doing dumb things, but at least they're dumb enough to just put everything on social media so we'll always know what they're doing.
Wayne, a cool kid, an air text line at 803-404-6100. My mind is blown from this video, LOL. He says, I couldn't even play basketball in the off season per the football coaches, and these guys are climbing crates. That's what it is. Yeah. Will be interesting to see how, if at all, Shane Beamer addresses this today. His weekly press conference, the first during the season, starts today, 1:15 this afternoon. Now, what Gamecock fans really want to know, not about the milk challenge, milk crate challenge, sorry. And again, I'm still blown away that there are milk crates out there in 2021. You know, enough of them to stack. I don't know. There are probably 20 or so, right, Patrick? At least in some of these videos, because if you're stacking, you're stair-stepping it up to like 6.
Yeah.
6 plus 5 plus 4, and you get to 20 pretty quickly there by my math anyway. It's just crazy that they're available, and it reminds me of like grade school when the last time I think I've seen milk crates.
Although people have been basically building it on one side, and then once they get to the top, you take them from the other side and build it back down.
Yes.
So if you're short on crates, that's what you have to do.
So you have to wait longer on top. That seems absolutely. Yeah.
There's also some videos of kids just running through and kicking out the middle of the crates while people are on the top of them. There are some wild videos. Yeah, I've seen several of them with little kids just knocking them over.
Yeah, it's not cool at all.
Yeah,
and
no, it's not.
What I've gathered today is there are two things that I'm not for this morning in our discussion. One of them is horror movies, and the other one is videos of people that they end up hurting themselves. That for some reason in my brain, I just turn it off. Like I can't watch it. And Patrick is all for one of those, and with me on the other one. You're not with the horror movies, but you're all the people hurting themselves videos.
Well, they're just classic. It's the lowest form of comedy, but it just always works.
I mean, a lot of people have made a lot of money off that relatively new genre of video, for sure, that's been going for a couple of decades, I guess, started by the MTV guys. And to me, that's what this milk crate challenge is the latest example of. That's why people watch it, right? It's to see the massive wipeouts and just feel like I'm somehow contributing, not be contributing, and therefore I can't watch it with like a clean conscience.
Just embrace it.
Can't do it. Won't do it. Can't do it. Moving forward on that.
It's not funny when two guys run at each other full speed in grocery carts and just collide and go flying. That's hilarious. Yeah. I mean, this is very Knoxville-esque, this milk crate thing. I mean, they would be proud.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, if it ends in injury, then I can't feel good about enjoying it.
Oh, yes, you can.
That's where I'm at on that. No. Like, if you're at a football game and somebody gets hurt for a big hit, don't you feel bad for going, ooh, that was an amazing big hit? Isn't there a part of you that feels bad about that? If a guy gets hurt?
Yes, because that's not the goal. But when you're doing a seesaw with a bull in a ring, you're like, all right, you knew you were probably going to get hurt. Yeah, I mean, you haven't seen the movies, but that's just a classic stunt. Like, that's just an example of what these guys were doing.
Wait a second.
So you don't feel as bad when that happens.
There is a seesaw with a bull on one side and a person on the other?
No, they were all seesawing and the bull's running after them, so they like flip up to try and have the bull run under them, and then it's like a competition of who's going to get hit by the bull, who's going to get speared by the bull.
That just seems like something that's set up to get injured, and then I just feel bad for it.
That's why you don't feel bad about this, because when someone's walking up milk crates knowing fully well that they're going to shake at the top and then you're going to wipe out and probably get hurt, you say, yeah, you had it coming. And you don't feel bad because they knew it was going to happen.
Justin,
it's just comedy.
I'm pretty sure Shane would rather those guys strap themselves into a porta potty. And then the bungee cord and the whole thing.
Yes.
Is another famous one.
It's funny, but it's really gross. I don't like the gross ones as much as the painful ones.
Everybody has different tastes, I guess. So I was going to say, everybody from a Gamecock football perspective wants to hear Shane Beamer much more about evaluating what has happened to this point, especially after the second scrimmage on Saturday night, that we haven't heard anything official from since, especially at the quarterback position. What happens from here? Because the last time we heard from a coach, the offensive coordinator, I guess it wasn't the last time, Shane Beamer did his Thursday night call-in show after the weekly press conference that we got from Marcus Satterfield last week. But with Marcus Satterfield saying he wants a starting quarterback name as soon as possible. And then with Luke Doty having the possibility of coming back from this midfoot sprain and getting 100% and becoming the starting quarterback, being the starting quarterback, just like we all thought he would be going in. That's that Gamecock football finds itself in. How comfortable would Shane Beamer be right now without having a starting quarterback name? Because there are very few programs out there in college football right now, Patrick, that are in that position. We've seen the opposite trend. Peter Johnson up at Northwestern being the starting quarterback after being in a preseason battle with Ryan. Seen other quarterbacks out there, not a ton necessarily, I guess, in the SEC. You know,
Will Levis
programs. You're right. Will Levis up at Kentucky being named starting quarterback. Penn State transfer.
Tennessee is really the big battle going on in the SEC that we don't really know who's going to play quarterback there.
A couple of transfers in, one Virginia Tech, one Michigan, and I thought the easy money was on the Virginia Tech transfer. I think he looked good in the spring game up at Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Had gone in, at least Pro Football Focus had him, I think, maybe top 35 in the country out of the 130 guys ranked on that same list. That Luke Doty was down at 125. Thought that was going to be pretty solid, but you're thinking the Michigan transfer's got a chance, or is that your personal opinion that he's going to end up winning that job?
I think, yeah, I mean, I just, in the last few days, week or two maybe, it seems like there's been a lot of buzz about Joe Milton in Knoxville. Like, the receivers have been raving about his just arm strength, because he's a big, strong dude. He's like 6'5", 240. Like, he can rip it. And like, I've heard, I can't remember which receiver it is. I'd have to look at the name, but they're at the depth chart, and I can remember his name. But he's like, yeah, I mean, you'll be running on a scramble play, and you'll be like 50 yards downfield, and Joe Milton's telling us, keep going, keep going, keep going. Like, I can throw it. You don't have to come back for it. And they were like just raving about his arm strength. So maybe Hendon Hooker is better, gets it more, or I don't know. But from a physical perspective, there's not much that Joe Milton can't do. So I would expect to probably see both of them, unless Tennessee has an awesome season, which I don't think they will. But I would say it's probably 50-50 right now, but I'm kind of leaning towards Joe Milton winning that job.
So another example of a quarterback situation in the SEC, but that one's not dealing with injury and not dealing with kind of a clear-cut starter coming out of spring football. So how Shane Beamer elects to handle it today and moving forward will be interesting and notable for sure. And then what else are you interested in hearing from Beamer after the most recent scrimmage from the Gamecock football perspective? It seems like the depth chart on the defense is relatively set from what we've heard from players, kind of piecing together who's starting where or who's being put where in the secondary, Patrick. Not a lot from my mind there. I think, and then the wide receiver depth chart from what we heard, scrimmage number one, to carry on Joyner, Josh Vann, and I'm trying to think of number 3 right now. off the top of my head. It wasn't Ortre Smith that I remember. I'll get it here in a second, but it was pretty set. But the conversation around the wide receivers has been another really interesting one from the Gamecock perspective.
That's kind of, I mean, I don't want to say people don't care about defense, but it's just not as flashy and people don't notice it as much. So he can say whoever he wants in the secondary. It's still going to be a point of concern, but if there's big passes being completed, South Carolina fans are just going to look at the number on the back of the jersey and say, okay, well, that's the guy. I mean, or you'll just watch big plays happen and say, okay, our defense is not doing well. Receivers, you notice individually, guys making plays or not making plays and dropping passes or not dropping passes. Was Jalen Brooks the third guy?
Yeah, he was the third, and that's who Shane Beamer was talking about for explosive plays. He was the guy that was making them, that has been making them consistently for the Gamecock.
Because I was just thinking of him because last year, I mean, he was obviously hyped up all season long. I mean, Will Muschamp every week it seemed like was in his press conference saying, "Yeah, well, we're hoping to get Jalen Brooks back this week," and then I think in his first game with the program, I think he had 2 drops and just didn't really. It was just a bad season for everyone, so you can't really chalk it up to anything but that. But yeah, I mean, that's something you notice, and I have been surprised by the fact that Josh Vann has been the guy that they keep consistently say outside of DeCarron Joyner, which we expected. Yeah, he's a new guy, so maybe a new name enters that mix. I know Marion Brown is talking today. I don't know if that's something that would hype people up because there were pretty big expectations from him coming in. If Shane Beamer says something like, yeah, Marion Brown has finally put it together, he's finally figured out or learned the playbook or whatever it is, and now he's looking like the Marion Brown that broke Calvin Johnson's touchdown record as a freshman at Georgia Tech. Like, maybe that'll excite you, but at this point, it feels like you kind of know, or we kind of know what we're going to know, and at this point, you just got to wait until we see it on the field. I don't think too much is going to change at this point, so it really – we're going to talk about until week 1 is the quarterback.
RL says, I'd like to know who the starting quarterback will be for September 4th or maybe just Thursday. Trey says, if we put a percentage on each quarterback, your starting quarterback right now, what would those percentages be? Patrick, why don't you go first here? Let's go Luke Doty first, Jason Brown, Zeb Nolan, Colton Gauthier. I guess you can throw Connor Jordan in there if you really want to go 5.
Right. Out of 100%.
Yep, you got to add up. You got to write them down.
I'll just do it off the top. Try to do it off the top of my head. I'll give 10% to. I'm only doing ones that end in 0. I can't start adding 5s together. That's going to hurt my head. I'm going to give 10% to Colton Gauthier, 30% to Luke Doty.
Okay.
That's how many percent is 40? I would give another 10 to Zeb Nolan because I just refuse to believe it, and then 50% chance it's going to be Jason Brown.
Okay, interesting. Let's see, RL in there goes with Nolan with 45%.
I mean,
wow. Jason Brown with 40, Doty at 10, and Gauthier at 5. Yeah, to me, I don't know.
I'd like to add some 5s into the mix, but I just didn't want to do that math right off the top of my head. I would maybe take 5 away from Gauthier and give 5 more to Zeb, but I'm saying pretty much Jason Brown versus the field is how I'm feeling.
Okay, and what about the possibility, like Hope on the YouTube live stream, I would assume at next week's press conference, he will announce the starter. What's the percentage chance that you get a starting quarterback named today, Patrick? I'm 50 right now. But based off of what Marcus Satterfield, how strongly he was putting it last week, that he wants a starter named ASAP. And again, the way I think you can mitigate that from Shane Beamer's standpoint is right now, Zeb Nolan or Jason Brown, one of those guys, he says, that's going to be our starting quarterback if Luke Doty's not back and healthy. So to me, that's how you can kind of mitigate that. And we'll figure that out by next Wednesday, right? We'll know that by then, whether or not Luke Doty would be in the mix or put a chance on it. Troy says 0% that you'll get a starting quarterback named today. I just think it sounded like Marcus Satterfield really wants one of those guys to start being in that mindset, getting those reps as well, and have his offense move in that direction. What do you think? Percentage chance that starting quarterback named today, Patrick, at 115 with Shane Bieber?
I would say like 25%.
Really? Okay.
Shane Bieber talks after the players, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would just be weird if if Zeb Nolan talks to the media for the first time ever, and everyone's like, "Wait, okay, so who is this guy? Where did you come from? You played with Trey Lance. You also went to Iowa State. Okay, nice to meet you, Zeb." And then Shane Beamer walks out and says, "Hey, how'd you like that Zeb guy? Yeah, he's our starting quarterback now." Like that, it all just happens that quickly. That would be insane. I just can't. I can't see it going down that way. Or if Zeb's the first guy up, they're going to ask him like, "Hey, how is the switch to quarterback going?" He's like, "Oh, it's really good. Yeah, coach actually just told me that I'm going to start week 1." What?
But you know how it's going to go. Like, all right, so were you practicing with the 1s or the 2s today? Were you with the 1s, the 2s, the 3s? And you kind of deconstruct it that way from the media nerd perspective, where you're just to get the information out of there. It might end up that a starting quarterback, or we know a lot more about the rotation more in that from that standpoint from the players themselves. Notable day in multiple ways for sure. And again, 1:15, the Shane Beamer press conference that we'll have for you live here on 107.5 The Game. If you missed that, the afternoon shows will replay plenty of it for you. And speaking of that, Heath Klein out today, Bill Gunter in for him. That's why you're stuck with me, Patrick, and Jen this morning. At Tim Hill 107.5, where you can find me on Twitter. Patrick is at _Patrick Barrett. Jen at Jen Jensen Morse. 803-404-6100. If you would like to call or text, it's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game. So today could be the day for a Gamecock quarterback to be named a starting quarterback. Today could also be the day that you want to make a move in the housing market these days. That is absolutely on fire. I suggest you give Buford Lending a call. 843-524-2404. Benji Getzy and his team, 25 years of experience. They can get you whatever you're looking for. VA loan, they're a mile from Paris Island, USA. They've been through plenty of those. Conventional construction, renovation, you want to refinance your mortgage right now. The numbers that Benji Getzy recently showed me, because I've been with him in my latest exploration of exactly what to do with my growing family and what kind of options I might have. The numbers he showed me, absolutely outstanding. So I can tell you from firsthand experience that Benji Getzy and his team, they know what they're doing, and they're going to find you the best deal out there. I also can tell you that they're a lender that you can trust in the process, because that's what you need when you're going through the house buying process. You need to have a lender that's there for you exactly when you need them, get you exactly what you need when you need it. Buford Lending has done that for me. I know that they can do that for you as well. Give Benji Getzy and his team a call. That's Buford Lending, 843-524-2404. Come out wherever you are. That keeps here. Pretty good. Fantastic. That's the right in the wheelhouse there with the suspense, not the horror. Taxi cab. Which one was it? I forget what it was. The other one. Played that.
Taxi driver.
Taxi driver. Yeah, I knew I was not saying it right.
Did you see the new joke? Did you see the new Joker movie?
Have I seen the new Joker movie? No, but I heard it was really.
Joaquin Phoenix. That's kind of the whole idea, is that it follows the same plot as Taxi Driver.
Gotcha. Thank you, John. I'm sure you'll find plenty of fashionable socks for the tournament on Friday. $17 points is all you're saying, RL? Are you talking about the Carolina game? Carolina's only favored by 17. Boy, what an insult. Oh, that dude. I went upstairs for a couple of minutes. Tasmanian Devil was the first comparison from my wife this morning. All over the place.
Nice.
But good. Not crying. So that's good.
That's always a plus.
Hasn't kept the older ones from logging on to their virtual school this morning. Big school.
So is the plan they should be able to go back on Monday?
Yes, that is the
That's
plan. I think the 6-year-old might have to be Tuesday. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Troy. Somewhere around 30. And I would take Carolina to cover that thing, man. Night game, season opener, first game. You can't win that thing comfortably.
Will everyone be clearing out so that they can get home to watch the Georgia Clemson game?
No, because if you make the decision to go to that game, you've already made the decision not to watch the Clemson and Georgia game live. Maybe you try to get home for the end of it, but I mean, I'm stuck in DVR world. I'm going to be good to watch that sucker.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Patrick Perrette Fund, I believe,
Yes.
is the charity.
It's the student loan charity.
And then
Lottie's inviting everybody over to his tailgate spot to watch it. Sorry.
oh, fun. No, I'm hoping maybe we can maybe do some fundraising of our own, and that way we can have speakers that work.
What that?
I'm just a crazy person. I know.
So high maintenance.
I know. I might have to repair my eardrum if I put my headphones in and they explode again.
All part of the fun.
It is. That's right.
Oh boy, York. So why didn't you do it, Waddy?
I will hurt myself for money.
Money for
That is
you.
just a fact. Yeah. I did that one day where I can't remember anything that I had to do, but I was just like, yeah, $5. I'll do pretty much anything you want. Just one night in the fraternity house. I think I folded people's laundry or just a couple of. I think I had to hurt myself. I can't even remember. But I've been in moments like that. Yeah, Chris, I just get very nervous before having to hurt myself. That's the hardest part, is just building yourself up to knowing that what you're about to do is going to hurt really badly.
Yeah.
That's what I respect the most about the Jackass guys.
We are about to head back in. All right, guys, we're up.
Now is the time. If you haven't done it already, and I don't blame you at all, I'm not a big planner. Hey, what's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen? Maybe a few days out. We are a few days out from our 14th anniversary golf tournament presented by Integrated Media over at Charwood Golf Club in West Columbia on Friday. 10 o'clock is tee time. 4-person captain's choice team. You can register as a team or as an individual right now if you give Charwood a call, 803-755-2000. An Panera Breakfast, Little Pig's Lunch, going to raise some money for Camp Cole, give away a trip to Kiowa for the winning team, raffle off a pair of tickets to the Gamecock home opener, or season opener, I should say. And we'll have a $10,000 prize for a hole-in-one on the signature par 3 17th, I believe it'll be. That's sponsored by Buford Lending. Looking forward to seeing you guys out there at that 14th anniversary golf tournament sponsored by Integrated Media on Friday. Didn't call it 755-2000 is the number. You're going to call it Charwood to register now. Just a couple of spots left as of yesterday. Not sure exactly where we are this morning, but I know it's filling up fast. The comments filling up fast this morning on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Just got one in from Will. Actually, this was on Twitter. Hit me up and said, "What about Josh Heupel praising his team for walking up the stairs?" I didn't see this yesterday on the social media, but I'm seeing it now. That I guess Heupel was trying to say that he's been pleased with his team's energy and effort and the way I guess they're not hopping on the elevator and their approach to walking up the stairs and going to meetings.
Nice.
And he got, as you might imagine, is this a prerequisite to be a Tennessee coach these days? Either you just don't worry about NCAA rules at all, or you say dumb stuff. Is that the deal the last few coaches?
I think
we are with champions of life.
I think Josh Heupel is the Nick Sirianni of college football. Nick Sirianni is the new Eagles coach that was in his press conference basically just stumbling and bumbling all over himself saying, "We want to play smarter, not harder, so we got to make everything easy, then we can just play and we'll be smart." And Josh Heupel was just like, at media day, kept talking about, "Yeah, I mean, this logo, man, this logo, this orange, I just love this logo. People are crazy about this logo." I was just like, dude, shut up. Nobody cares. And I think now they're going to be good because they're walking upstairs. What a moron. This guy stinks. I give him the Alabama game next season. He'll get fired before the Alabama game next season.
Wow, interesting timeline. That based off just a couple of things that you've heard so far.
Based off, that's an impatient fan base, and this guy's a dope, so it's just not going to work out.
Pretty good and strong in hour number 3 this morning. Derek Dooley kind of famously praised his Tennessee team back in the day for their ability to properly shower while they're dealing with some staph infections, and now they've got a coach saying that they can really walk up the stairs. I thought it might have been in reference to the old milk crate challenge that we've been talking about this morning and the video that popped up from Juju McDowell's Instagram feed about it looks like some Gamecock football players might have been doing this or the whole thing. And it kind of looks like stairs on this milk crate challenge. If you're unfamiliar, as I was as of this morning, they just stack up milk crates and try to walk up them and then walk down, and it doesn't end well most of the time. Or is it every time? Has anybody done the milk crate challenge?
Yeah, a couple of people have been successful. Some are not, I guess, child friendly.
Gotcha. Makes sense. 803-404-6100 if you would like to weigh in on the text line or give us a call on the Love Chevy phone lines. A couple of you weighing in on the quarterback situation. I think the coaches are going to know, anonymous texter says, but that doesn't mean we are going to know who the starting quarterback is. I put it at a 20% chance it gets announced. And another texter says the team will know before the media knows. Well, no doubt about that. But I think part of this situation, if it's not going to be Luke Doty, Patrick, is where Steve Spurrier kind of always came at it from, in that not only do you get to have you want to have your team rallying around your quarterback, but you want to have everybody instilling confidence in a guy who hasn't done it before. And I guess you could say Zeb Nolan's done it before. He threw for 360 yards in an A game at Iowa State back in the day in a 10-point loss, but never done it at a high level. None of these guys have ever been a starting quarterback in game number 1 in a season opener at an SEC program. And it hasn't been really close. I guess Zeb Nolan starting this past spring from North Dakota State, taking over for Trey Lance might be the only thing similar. Jason Brown hasn't even played since 2019 at FCS St. Francis. So if it's going to be one of those guys, I feel like you got to do it from the public perception standpoint almost. And you got to sell it to Gamecock fans in the best way possible, as opposed to, you don't want that necessarily being a distraction for the team in game week. I think that's why I put it at 50-50 today, that you want to go ahead and do that.
Isn't it already too late, though, for that? Because you've been hyping up Luke Doty. I mean, what you did was name Luke Doty the starter super early, and you've just given him the keys to the program. You've empowered him to be a leader, and that's exactly what he's done. And now if you're going to try and heap praise on someone who you basically said Luke Doty is miles better than, I mean, how much are you really going to get everyone to rally around him?
To me, that's
when you
why
said
have to
that
do it.
you pulled a coach off the coaching staff and he's immediately in competition because these guys just aren't that close.
To me, that's another reason why you have to do that, because you haven't talked about those guys maybe, or the public perception isn't out there. That's why the doom and gloom comment came out, right? That it wasn't, the season didn't hinge on the MRI result from Luke Doty. And that's not how Shane Beamer wants Gamecock fans to look at it. Certainly his players as well. That was, I think, more meant for players than it was for fans, just like a public announcement would be more for his players than for the fans. Because when you go that next step, when you put it out there to your team, that's one thing, right? But then when you go out there and you put it out publicly and then everybody knows, to me, that's a stronger step. That's why it was, I think, a pretty aggressive and strong move by Shane Beamer to throw the doom and gloom comment out there when the news originally came out. RL says, yeah, Shane Beamer's shown a willingness to kind of put it out there. And I think that's where we'll see it go today. And for those reasons. It's a unique situation for sure, man. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I guess they can announce it, not that he's going to be the starter, but that whoever it is the number 2 behind Luke Doty. And if he can't go, then they'll be the starter. But, I mean, it's almost better for the mindset of the fan base in the long term to just say, we're not naming the starter this week because we're still hoping that Luke Doty can play. Because Luke Doty is our best option by a lot. And if he can't go, it's just 1 week and Luke Doty will be back. But we're just putting Luke Doty is our quarterback, and we're waiting until the last possible minute to make sure that he can't go. I guess if you want to name a backup, you can go ahead and do that. But in terms of officially naming a starter for week 1, I can't think that they would do that with another week of potential rehab and getting closer to being ready for Luke Doty.
But what you just said puts zero confidence in other guys in the program.
It's you'd almost be going back on what you've been saying for the last couple of months. Like, Luke Doty is the guy. He's way better than everyone else. Otherwise, there would have been competition, and there'd be no reason to say that there wasn't.
Yeah, but if he's not an option, you got to figure out the next best guy. And you got to get him playing with confidence. And you got to have other guys confident in him. And knowing that the coaching staff has confidence. Absolutely you do.
Against Eastern Illinois.
Yeah, especially against Eastern Illinois. If you get a quarterback who doesn't play well against Eastern Illinois, sky falls real quick with the new coaching staff. You got to remember, we're from the outside looking in, just automatically assuming South Carolina is going to roll over an Eastern Illinois team who hasn't been very good lately. It's not automatic. They still got to play the game. Those coaches are responsible for making sure that happens. And to do that, you got to have a team that plays with confidence, and you got to remember your program doesn't have much of it.
Is it important for them to be confident in the quarterback, though?
Why is question? Are you playing Bill Gunter troll this morning? What do you mean?
No, because it's the whole idea like we've talked about. Guys play better. Guys block harder for the backup quarterback and play harder around him because they feel like they need to do more. So if the offensive line and Kevin Harris and Marshawn Lloyd say, listen, this isn't Luke Doty back here. Like, we're not going to disparage him, but, like, we know that it's going to be on us today. Like, we have to win this game on the ground, so let's just go out there and run all over them and dominate them. And the defense is saying, hey, listen, we can't count on the offense to score a bunch of points. We're probably going to have to score a couple touchdowns ourselves, so let's just get after the quarterback. Let's get the ball. Like, do you have to actually have confidence in the quarterback to play well? Everyone else can say it's even more on me now. My job is more important now because we don't have our guy.
Patrick, you were talking about Luke Doty as if it's proven that he's.
I'm not. The coaches have been.
What I'm saying is these players have not seen Luke Doty go out and
We have an accident I-20 eastbound
level
at Highway 6. You're
in
going to
wind
want to get to the right.
at all.
as you
Maybe
pass
in
through
practice
there.
to a certain degree.
Also,
None of
At
them
all.
have experienced
earlier
wins.
accident, Smith Pond Road
Right.
near
This
Tuna.
is where this program is right now. This team is right now. So you have to understand that, and they're not at a typical. And I've never really heard that cliche or that mindset that the offensive line is going to block harder for the backup quarterback. To me, that's
Eastbound at
overblown,
Highway.
man.
Did you watch the Eagles win a Super Bowl with Nick Foles?
I did see that. That was a heck of a run. You think it was because they were rallying? Everyone knew they had to play better because their backup quarterback was in, and that's the only way they won?
And they loved Nick Foles. They actually liked him more than Carson Wentz, but it's a different situation.
You got to make sure your team believes in the locker room. And I think it's going to be a bit of a process now, especially if you're going with a guy who is just a graduate assistant. A lot of these other players never heard of him. Shane Beamer, you heard this, right? He showed the team Zeb Nolan's highlights, the Iowa State highlights, lighten up Oklahoma to basically help this transition process, right? To help everybody be on board. He said it went really well with the transition from graduate assistant to player, and he was surprised and pleasantly pleased, but he knew what he was doing. He knew he had to help that process along. And if you're going to name him or even the other guy, or even Jason Brown, a guy who's played 0 FBS snaps in his career and coming from an FCS program in St. Francis. Either way, to me, you got to start that process. It's a much longer process, I think, than it typically would be, especially for a season opener, a night game in Columbia, South Carolina, with a new coaching staff. But we'll see how they handle it. You might be right, Pat. You might be right. 803-404-6100, the number into the show. If you'd like to get in a final word, you can call or text. We see a bunch of your texts. We'll do those when we come back. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
I can't tell the tone or meaning of what percentage of your on-air guys played high school or college sports. Currently, 100% played college sports. And that's it, right?
Yeah.
And Tommy Moody, of course.
Oh, yeah. So, not quite it. Pearson will tell you he played college rugby.
What?
I would respond with that.
Did Heath play high school sports? You're muted.
Worst idea ever there, Al. If that's what happens, oh man, sky is falling. That would be a bold move, though. If Beamer goes from 97% of his time been played at wide receiver and plays them all quarterback in the game number 1.
I mean,
We'll count that, Chris, for sure.
you should be able to just direct snap it to the running back whenever you play. It'd be fine.
I think he was a high school basketball player, York. But not positive on that.
Yeah, this is the most athletic show. With the current setup. RG3 is officially on the ESPN college football roster.
Saw where they put out their assignments yesterday.
I'd like to see who his first game is.
Develops no backup quarterback situation other than the Wildcat. Why would you do that, man? Throw a guy in there that can throw some passes, have some success in case you need a guy to throw for you in an SEC game if Doty gets hurt or something.
Robert Griffin is with Mark Jones and Quinn Kesnick. Quinn Kesnick is a lacrosse guy.
Oh, yeah. And who was the play-by-play guy?
Mark Jones?
Mark Jones is pretty famous. Does a bunch of NBA games.
It said ESPN Mainstay. Oh, yeah, I've seen it.
Played basketball, maybe PC.
Yeah, I've seen this guy. He's very, yeah. Would have never in a million years guessed his name, but yeah, very familiar. Matt's with Roddy Jones and Harry Lyles Jr.
Yep, so that.
Thursday nights. Who's Harry Lyles Jr.? Isn't that a basketball player?
You got me.
No, that's Harry Giles. Never mind. From Duke.
Hopefully in the SmackDown. I
And back
appreciate
in.
you not taking your takes too seriously, Alan.
Guys, right?
Text to win. The national keyword is Rager. Send that in to 64636, not our text line. Send the national keyword Rager into 64636. And you got a chance to fly to Miami, hop aboard the Chris Jericho Rock and Wrestler Rager at Sea. A triple whammy on a 5-day adventure to Grand Bahama Island filled with live band performances, AEW wrestling, comedy, autograph sessions, live podcasts, and more. Again, the national keyword is Rager to 64636. You want to call Charwood Golf Club if you want to get in on our 14th anniversary golf tournament presented by Integrated Media. That's this Friday, 10 a.m., 4-person Captain's Choice teams. You can also register as an individual. The number over at Charwood, 803-755-2000. That thing filling up fast, only a couple of spots left. That's why I give you that number one last time, 755-2000, the number over at Charwood to get in on the 14th anniversary golf tournament presented by Integrated Media. If you want to find a word in on the show, that's the number 803-404-6100, where an anonymous texter said, Tim, if you think whether or not the team believes hinges on a public announcement, you're deluded. What's said in the locker room is all that matters. I get it if you want to play the we against the world routine. And maybe on a typical team, I'd be with you. I'm just saying that you say it within the team and then you say it outside the team. That takes it to another level of confidence from a coach's standpoint. That is more the money where your mouth is kind of thing when you're not afraid to say it to anybody. I think players respect that. Alan said I could overanalyze the rock sitting on the table. It's Eastern Illinois. I hear you, Alan. But I've also seen what's happened the last couple of years as well. And then Larry says, come on, guys. In the spring, Luke was the only player in the system for a year and with 2.5 games experience. Beamer never said Luke was the most talented or there never was a lack of talent for the competition. Jason Brown wins hands down with what he's done, breaking all the records at St. Francis and 28 touchdowns in a season. That showed up in the spring game. There's been a lot of stock in Jason Brown's St. Francis career.
Just changing the subject, I just got this notification. This was just posted on ESPN a couple minutes ago. The alliance between the ACC, Big Ten, and Pac-12 will be announced at 2 p.m. today.
Oh.
And I just tried to quickly skim through this article, and it did say that the announcement will not include widespread scheduling principles among the 3 leagues.
So what kind of alliance will it be?
I have no idea.
Wasn't that the whole point of the alliance?
They're going to emphasize, quote, common values and unanimous support impacting key topics. It's going to be the most underwhelming alliance of all time.
Sounds terrible.
It's going to be like Pac-12. One of the suggestions is the Pac-12 is going to drop down to 8 conference games so that they can add an extra ACC or Big Ten opponent.
Mm-hmm.
If that's all that comes out of this, boring. And it's going to do absolutely nothing to change anything about college football.
First of all, if you're going to do something like this has never been done before that we know of, right? We have an alliance with other conferences.
We're going to announce our alliance?
What is this? Survivor? What are you doing? What's going on here?
That's a joke.
And then if you're going to do it, you better do it in a strong way. Like if you came out and said, "Yeah, we're not going to schedule any SEC teams anymore," that's strong. People would respect that at least. I mean, there would be SEC backlash for sure, saying we don't need you in the whole thing, but at least that is showing us that you now have an alliance, right? That you're now going to be a group and have some strength. But if you, what are you going to do? Are you going to tell us that you're seeking out a television contract together? Okay, good luck. You better add something that TV wants. Otherwise, you're just going to be building up the numbers, and then we're going to be dividing it by 3, and most of us can do math okay like that and figure out that you didn't do anything. You're just trying to show us strength and not doing anything. And that doesn't come close to adding Oklahoma and Texas. And you're just wanting some attention from this. That's all I'm getting, unless you come out strong.
It's not even good attention. It's just like, look how pathetic and futile we are that we need to team up with each other when we're all supposed to be the Power 5 who are equally as powerful as each other. And it takes 3 of us to match the SEC. I hope Greg Sankey's got several different releases ready, just that say like LOL or something like that. Just completely embarrassing. Like, you guys are such losers. Congratulations.
Chris says their common values are hating the SEC.
I hope Greg Sankey just tweets out, "I would like to congratulate the Big Ten, ACC, and Pac-12 on their alliance." And that's all.
Good luck. Yeah. That would be amazing. Or just a congrats.
Yeah.
45.
Waddy says the Scooby-Doo Harlem Globetrotters alliance was more exciting.
Solid.
Congrats at Big Ten, at Pac-12, at ACC. That would be a great tweet.
Interesting. 2:00 today, you said, right? We'll get more details on that.
Yeah, 2:00.
That'll basically be right after the Shane Beamer press conference at 1:15 that you'll hear right here live on 107.5 The Game. So it should be an interesting afternoon. Bill should have some stuff to talk about, filling in for Heath this afternoon from 4 until 7.
15.
Appreciate you hanging out with the early game crew today of Tim Hill, Patrick Corrett, and Jen Jensen. Dan Packer Show coming up next here on 107.5 The Game.
Clear.
All right, that was something. Nice work, Patrick, on the latest news.
Yeah, I think tomorrow will be a pretty easy show. We'll have a lot of sound and maybe an awesome alliance to talk about.
So we should all wear our superhero costumes.
Yeah. I got my Captain America fidget spinner.
There you go.
Nice, guys. We'll synchronize watches at the beginning of the show and really
There you
be an alliance.
The superpowers activate.
Bill's back on the show in the morning, Hope. You can hear
So sorry.
his voice first, though, this afternoon at 4. Thank you, Waddy. Attaboy. See you guys in the morning.
Good.